15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
104-85. Wolves look to put away Jimmy Butler and the Warriors. The three ball from Jimmy. No, Ant's got the rebound. Hit ahead. Randall's ahead of the field. Breakaway. Two-headed slam. Dunk. The Wolves now lead by 21 with just over 4 minutes left. Timeout Golden State, and that might do it.
Thank you to Timberwolves Radio. I was surprised you guys could find a highlight from this game. There weren't many. T-Wolves even the series, though, 1 game apiece. Steph Curry on the bench. Anthony Edwards had a pretty bad-looking ankle sprain in the first half, but he continued to play. And Perloff, my big takeaway from this game is that Jimmy Butler getting a little too comfortable in this Robin role to Steph Curry's Batman. Remember when Jimmy Butler used to be Batman for the Miami Heat and leading them to the finals in an improbable way? Where was that guy? He was not on the floor last night, and the Warriors looked completely lost.
Yeah, I mean, the Warriors were doing that game 2 thing that we expected all the road teams to do, where you win game 1, and they just wanted to get out of there. Steve Kerr emptied the bench early. I mean, he played 15 guys looking for something.
Yeah.
But I have to be honest, I did see a spark. I saw something. In the Warriors.
Okay.
In the second half, the game was a blowout. They're down by 20 at half or something like that. And they came back in the second half. They closed it to within single digits.
I think. Yeah.
Yes. And I'm like, what is going on? They just seem, they have something that the T-Wolves don't. See, I don't think the series is over. I think most people do. I don't expect to see any Steph Curry. You're right about Jimmy. Last night he could have been much more aggressive. But I worry about the Timberwolves a little bit because their three-point shooting has been so on and off. If Anthony Edwards is really diminished, they have one consistent offensive player, Julius Randle. He's a 2-point player. The Warriors can beat 2-point players. I would not give up on the Warriors. I would not give up on Jimmy Butler, Draymond Green, and I think Kerr is searching for guys to step up. Buddy Hield has been stepping up.
Right.
I think people all think, oh, this is over because Steph Curry is hurt. I don't see it that way.
Yeah, I'm not as high. I guess I could say the series still hangs in the balance, but I did not like what I saw from the Warriors for a couple reasons. One, it's not like Steve Kerr has never coached a team where Steph Curry has had to, sit on the bench for a couple games. Really searching. I mean, going to guys like Kuminga, who was in the freezer in this series.
I know. And do you think they might have discovered something there?
Well, maybe, but it makes me wonder why wasn't he getting any significant minutes before this? The Trace Jackson Davis, who had been kind of in the freezer.
Last night.
Who was good last night with 15 points, and his defense was good too. I think this all depends on whether Jimmy can find another gear, which we kind of thought he'd be able to pick up the slack, especially this game, and he looked kind of disinterested. I also thought that at one point he hit the back of his head or got hit in the back of the head. The broadcast never mentioned it. I thought that was weird, but that's an aside. And Draymond is a complete and utter zero when Steph's not there, because I think that his leadership or lack thereof in these critical moments, it's been part of his entire MO. He gets a lot of credit for being this great leader, but I think it's always off the coattails of Steph. And, you got your best player out, so you're going to be picking up more techs, more flagrants. You're going to get suspended most likely in this series. Like, what are you doing?
He isn't young, Maggie. He's a dad. He needs some rest.
Yeah.
He can't.
And
by the way, this is 20 years into Draymond's career, and now you're picking apart?
No, I just think the antics,
there's nothing to discover about Draymond. We know the deal here.
No, I get it, but you're 2 technical fouls away from getting a suspension, okay? You can't.
Yes, welcome to Draymond.
No, I know, but Steph Curry's out for a week, which in this round of the playoffs means you're playing every other day, which means he's probably going to miss 3 games.
Which means it's called playoff load management, Maggie. I mean, come on. You can say, you're telling me that the Warriors are not going to win because Draymond Green is having some antics? Because I've seen him act up many, many, many times.
Yeah, and he's cost him.
He's
many
cost
times.
him. It can be any situation. It can be up 3-1 against the Cavs, and he can do it. It's not just when Curry is there. That is the deal with Draymond Green. When you have him, he's always on that third rail. He's always on the brink of going overboard. But that's the Draymond Green experience. That energy also can help you win a Game 3.
I understand, and I know he came up big in the finals when they won their 4th ring together, and I get that he had really big moments, and he's maybe the defensive player of this generation. I understand all that. Dude, time and place.
Yeah, good luck getting Draymond
know.
Green to follow time and place. Again, think back to the Cavs series. That was the exact wrong time and place.
Yeah, I mean, and you look back on that, was it a little flimsy that he actually did get suspended for it, or get that, that all that went to it, but you don't get the benefit of the doubt.
You're not a guy, trust me. There was nothing flimsy about what he was doing in that series. He was going for the private parts.
Yeah, oh boy. Let's hear from Draymond. He's become the story. I think the story is Jimmy Butler was not good enough last night when they needed him. He created this new vibe and spark when he got traded from Miami. We've seen him carry teams before, and I was disappointed that he didn't step up in a bigger way last night.
They were mailing that game in. I mean, come on. They just lost Steph Curry. They sold game 1 at home. They were not putting a full effort. And that's how playoff series ebb and flow.
Well, then I question that and I question then the veteran leadership not understanding that Anthony Edwards is in a pretty bad shooting slump for considering his caliber, right?
Yeah.
He was so good in the Lakers series. He's been really good all season. He hit more threes than anybody in the league this season, and he's been in this bad shooting slump. And then on top of it, he turns the ankle in the first half. You've got to understand, all right, their best player is now compromised. And I know he was doing some other things and he still played out there, but he was not looking like himself. So if you're a real veteran team, you don't say, all right, we're going to mail in game 2. You look at the team across for you and say, maybe we have a shot. Maybe this Anthony Edwards ankle just opened up the door for us to get a 2-game lead. You think the Knicks were mailing it in? You think the Pacers were mailing in game 2s? They were not.
Yes, but the Nuggets veteran team mailed in game 2. That was 13-0. They lost. It was 13-0 to start the game. I know this is
20-point leads don't mean anything anymore.
Don't read anything into what the Knicks did and the Pacers did. Those were anomalies. Normally in a playoff series,
winning plays, winning moves.
No, yes, okay. How many times in history have teams done what the Knicks done? 0.0. No team's ever come back the first 2 games of a playoff series from 20 points down ever in the long history of the NBA. So there's no trends there. Normally, you have to. It's a 7-game series. You have to play it like that. This is not. This game means nothing to them. Like, we have not seen the real Warriors. They're going back to San Francisco. We'll see. I'm not judging Jimmy on it. Jimmy was actually not terrible last night. He was totally fine. I mean,
you're lowering the bar.
What did you expect? Jimmy was even when he was the Heat, he didn't sweep guys. I mean, generally, like, series ebb and flow. We'll see. Judge Jimmy on game 3. Judge Jimmy now. They have to figure out the rotations without Curry. None of these guys are all in new positions. As Stan Mangotti pointed out several times ago, that guy doesn't usually do that. They're going to have to figure some stuff out. There's no way they were going to figure that out on the fly.
Yeah, really surprised that it's felt like Steve Kerr did use this game to try to figure out what he's got and felt a little bit on your heels. Like, you have no clue. You've been with this team all season long. Some of these guys have been on the team for years. Kuminga, years has been on this team.
Kuminga is 22 years old.
And he's been on the team for years, Pearl. These guys come into the league when they're 18 years old. He's been in the building. You have no idea what you have in this guy.
They were 10.5-point underdogs coming into the game. This was a figure-it-out game.
Well, we'll see if they did. 888-710-4ISN. Can the Dubs hang in this series without Steph Curry? That's what we're asking you this morning. We know we're on in the Bay Area. I'm curious if you guys are feeling a little sick to your stomach because of what you saw last night. Let's get to Draymond.
Yeah.
I know Dubs fans love, because if he's on your team, you love him. If he's not, you love to hate him because it's just been, you're just exhausted at this point with his antics, right?
Well, I mean, again, yes, but is this a show from 2016, 2018, 2021? Let's take that again. I keep referencing the Cavs series, his most famous blow-up of all time.
Yeah.
Might have cost him the finals. He's won 3 rings since then, so it can work. this Draymond act. It's not like it hasn't worked for a decade. It's not like he's changed. He's always been this guy.
I know. I think that, though, because I think we're constantly moving the goalpost on Draymond. It's like he's going to go to the Hall of Fame, and he's known as this great defensive player, which he's worked for, and he's earned that. But, is there no expectation that you will ever really step up if Steph Curry's out? Zero expectation that you can maybe hold it together for one game.
Well, we know.
And then we're just like, Draymond's like, yeah, well, you're hurting your team.
Do some research. Look at the technical fouls when Curry's out. The second Curry's out, Draymond gets jealous. It's like, I want to go out too. I swear, I remember this exact dynamic where Curry's out and Draymond acts up. I think maybe he's trying to fire up the team, or maybe he's just frustrated. This is not unusual.
No, but this is like when you make excuses for people, right? It's like you make excuses for a bad boyfriend or a bad girlfriend. Oh, she's only acting out because X, Y, Z, or this, that, and the other thing. It's like, well, they're also adults, veterans, in this case, a veteran player. And, Steve Kerr has been making excuses for Draymond Green for years. And maybe because Kerr played with Dennis Rodman and kind of understands playing with guys who are on the edge all the time and how they can help and how they can hurt. But
I don't think you could have Draymond Green, the Hall of Fame player, if you didn't have Draymond Green on the edge, because skills-wise, he has no right. I mean, he's a way older player with very little athleticism. He's not a consistent offensive player. I think he's all attitude in a positive way and a negative way.
Yeah, see, I think that would, if you went to a psychologist and said that, or a therapist, not all get to armchair on you, I think they'd say, why would you limit yourself that way? Why can't you be both? Why can't you be a great player and also at times have control of your emotions? Why can't you channel it and harness it? Why settle?
Well, there's certain players in NBA history who've been like this. Dennis Rodman, you mentioned.
Right.
I feel like Dylan Brooks is that way now. Their guys are on the edge. I'm not sure if you channeled it, if you sort of took out the fire from Draymond Green, I don't think he would be this great player.
888-710-4ISN. All right, EJ, we've got some sound here from Draymond that's getting a lot of attention from after the game. Again, this is a Timberwolves win, series tied, 1 apiece, goes back to San Francisco. That will be Saturday. Yeah.
Double check that.
Yeah, Thursday, Saturday. That's the every other day. Here's Draymond. Did not like that the technical foul got called on him he was obviously trying to draw a foul on Naz Reid. He did draw the foul on Naz Reid, and then as Draymond does, sort of flails the arms out like he's got no control over his limbs, and suddenly going into a seizure type movement and hit Naz Reid in the head. Here's Draymond.
Not an angry black man. I'm a very successful, educated black man with a great family, and I'm great at basketball. I'm great at what I do. The agenda to try to keep making me look like an angry black man is crazy. I'm sick of it. It's ridiculous.
And that was his entire post-game press conference,
Yes.
I'm led to believe?
The only thing he said, and he walked off.
Only one answer.
Yes, that was all he said.
Okay.
How did he know that people were creating an agenda? Did he go on his phone after the game? What?
Or he said the refs are doing this, no?
I assume he's talking about the refs.
Yeah.
The league,
I thought he was talking about
that the league is conspiring to make Draymond look like an angry black man. Listen,
I thought he was talking about the media and the world.
I think the media then takes the cues from the league, I think is what he's trying to say.
Okay. So here's the thing about this. I think there have been times, no doubt, there are times when people do get unfairly stereotyped as angry black men. I don't think Draymond Green is the right person to be the messenger here on this one. We've got over a decade of you in the league acting this way. It's basketball, man. It's basketball. And you know how this works, which is you get a reputation. Ask Rasheed Wallace about it. Ask Dennis Rodman about it. I mean, ask the guys who are known as these hotheads, which he is, and see if the whistle gets quicker around them. That's not all on them. That's you not taking accountability for how you've played your career. To make it racial, I feel like at this point, listen, I think that it takes away from people who really could have a gripe that they are being mischaracterized. I don't think Draymond's being mischaracterized. But that's my thought. EJ?
Yeah, this was clownish. I'm sorry. And I'm very sensitive to black stereotypes, especially black men and the angry black man stereotype that does exist in our society. But Draymond Green in that game had to be basically restrained by his entire team from not continuing to go after the refs. We've seen Draymond Green just fly off the handle, whether it's hitting guys in the junk, hitting guys in the head, yelling at fans, yelling at referees, yelling at his own team. this is you, bro. Like, take some accountability. This guy, I've never seen a player in the history of the NBA who wants to blame everything that he is involved with on other people other than himself. He just won't take any accountability. So he has that terrible game. He has that terrible moment early in the game, and the first thing he does is he wants to blame somebody else. Take some accountability, bro. Like, this is weak.
Yeah. I agree. I mean, it's weak, and it's just so transparent. Like, it's so thin. And I understand coaches, players work the referees. They definitely do. And Phil Jackson did it beautifully when, people used to read newspapers. He used to always plant these things about how they were getting hosed with calls in the newspapers and all that stuff so the refs would see it and treat him a different way. Draymond can scream racial stereotype till the cows come home. I don't think the refs are going to swallow whistles when it comes to him and the behavior. I just think that ship sailed years ago with Draymond, where he's ever going to get the benefit of the doubt here, I think.
So what do you guys think is going on? Do you think he's a little nuts? Do you think I compared him. I think he's got a Grayson Allen thing going on where he hit the guy in the face. Like, he can't help but do that. I think it's like I don't want to say OCD. It's a compulsion for him to play like this. I think he gets out there and he just can't help himself. I don't know why exactly, but I just think there are certain players who do these things.
Pearl, you know this. Like, there are basketball players who play like football players.
Yes.
Like any basketball player never wants to play basketball with a football player, because even when they're not trying to be like throwing elbows and arms and legs, they somehow end up throwing arms and legs. I know Draymond was actually not that great a football player. He always jokes about his time in Michigan State and how bad he was. But, like, he plays like a football player.
Yeah.
Like, he's just always arms, knees, elbows, feet, all going up. And I think sometimes it's not necessarily intentional, but there is a self-control that everybody on the court has to have. It can't be, because, Draymond, you play a little more aggressive and you play a little more out of control, where everyone else just has to just get hit in the head
and
or get hit in the neck.
To you, right?
And that's not how basketball works. Everyone's going to get called the same way.
Yeah, but see, I don't think, and I disagree with both you guys, I don't think there's any other way Draymond Green could be Draymond Green. I think he has been fueled by this sort of unusual, these characteristics. I agree, like the statements, even the statements, like things that other people don't say, like Draymond Green is not talented enough to be a Hall of Fame NBA player. Can we all agree on that? There's nothing, was he a second round pick? Yeah. He's a 6'6" guy playing center. He is slow. He is all attitude,
right?
So I don't think you can
smarts.
have. I don't think you can have this sort of smarts, but he's on the edge.
Yeah.
He gets in other guys' head. I mean, you don't think that he's affecting other guys? Almost like there's a method to the madness, I think. And again, you can't. I don't think you can have a well-behaved Draymond who's You're like, well, why do you just get rid of that part of the game and use the other parts of your game? I don't think it works like that.
Yeah, but I mean, you bring up Grayson Allen, which is kind of a funny one, right? Because he had this thing where he kept kicking people in the junk when he was at Duke.
He could not help
tripping
it.
people.
Yeah.
Has he done that in the last? Have you heard of Grayson Allen tripping guys? That he's been is he on the Phoenix Suns? I don't even remember.
He's had some weird flavor and foul.
He's definitely. It took him 2 years into the pros to figure it out.
Okay,
he was doing a lot of
stuff.
We're
like 8 years into the pros for him now.
Yeah, and again, okay, what have we heard about Grayson Allen?
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. He's completely ineffective now, ironically.
Well, he may never have been a great NBA player to begin with, but here's the thing. Draymond's had gotten so many suspensions. He's also at one point had to leave the team indefinitely. These. How many more instances do you need for the guys that hurts his team? And as much as he helps and hurts, I think if we did like a pros cons list or a balance sheet on how many times he's helped versus hurt, they could have more titles. Literally more titles if he was not this out of control. Unhinged.
I don't know if that's true, because if he wasn't this out of control, do they win the next 3? I mean, he is effective.
They were winning with Durant no matter what.
Yeah,
no matter
true,
Draymond. It didn't have to be in the zip code for them to win with
Steph Curry. I just can't believe we're sitting here in 2025 talking about Draymond just like we did in 2017, just like we did in 2019, just like he's never going to change.
Yeah, 888-710-4ISN. So you got the Draymond stuff right there for you. And then
and by the way, you kind of just went over pretty quickly Anthony Edwards' injury. That is no joke. I mean,
I know. It was so funny on the broadcast. They're like, I don't know. He seems like he's the same guy out there. I'm
no.
What?
Well, they kept pointing out he could not finish around the basket. He is definitely not Anthony Edwards. Because LeBron fell on him in the last series, and now somebody stepped on him again last night. I mean, if the Timberwolves don't have a full go Anthony Edwards, then this is Do you think they can beat the Thunder with that? No way.
Oh, yeah, as far as a title is
I
concerned,
just think
no way.
he is just not himself. I mean, yes, maybe they win the series because Steph is out, but that is a shame. I don't think he looks anything like himself.
I agree. And that's why I think it's disappointing that the Warriors did seem like they were all too ready to wave the white flag on last night's game. Because you don't know when Anthony Edwards, first of all, he didn't play well in game one, but you don't know that he's going to turn an ankle. And then that happens. And you find yourself in a situation where maybe you could have stolen a game and now you're biding time and creating a little more of a cushion for when Steph can eventually come back.
Okay.
And instead they were just like, well, we'll see how it goes here. And then we're all going to take a seat. Like, what does Brandon Pajemski need to be sitting for the last 5 minutes?
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry. Is he 22? He's got to load manage.
Well, he's been hurt too. But anyway, yeah, you guys have been ruined by the Knicks and the Pacers. That's not what's supposed to happen in NBA playoff
People aren't
games.
supposed to care.
Yeah, Paul Pierce made a safe bet. Game 2, after you win one on the road, you're supposed to mail in game 2. That's how the NBA works. Nobody gave the memo to the Knicks and the Pacers, but
We are the
generally,
New York Knicks.
generally, that's what you do. It's a 7-game series and your star is injured. You got to conserve your energy. You got to play Kuminga, who is awesome. And by the way, Trace Jackson Davis or Trace Davis Jackson, whatever his name is,
Got it right
awesome.
the first time.
6 for 6. Kuminga 8 for 11. Those guys, I think Kerr's like now interested. Kerr's probably scouting those guys for next year. This is a.
Hey, those guys are pretty good. Yeah, they're on your team.
Yeah, well, it's
Yeah.
hard. When you're playing 15 guys, you're going to learn a lot. They put in, by the way, speaking of, did you see who got into the game?
Yeah, Kevin Knox.
Kevin Knox, we were
Knox.
just talking about yesterday because the Knicks took him over Mikal Bridges.
Oh, so
which
you all
turned out to
noticed
be a
the
huge
same thing,
mistake.
right?
Yeah, I mean, he's on the. Yeah, every time he shows up, I'm like, hey, there's my guy.
I mean, how can you miss that giant head?
It is large.
That
Okay.
cut them braids off.
Yeah,
He's
and that's
not
saying
working
something.
for
It's a lot of giant heads in sports.
Mm-hmm.
888-710
Land a plane on that forehead.
888-710-4476. Okay, couple things for you. A, what you saw last night. Can the Warriors hang in this series without Steph Curry? 2, were you disappointed you didn't see more from Jimmy Butler? I was. A little too comfortable in that Robin role. Need a little more Batman. And then 3, the Draymond Green antics. Here we are again. 888-710-4ISN. It's the Maggie Perloff Show.
The Draymond Green show with Baron Davis must go on.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. 2 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back. Just a programming note. You are listening to a live version of Maggie Perloff Show because we are talking about Draymond Green on the verge of suspension in a playoff series.
That could evergreen be, topic.
Yeah,
we're actually at brunch right now. We just mailed in this show. It's on record.
I just don't think he can change, and you're certainly not going to change him now. This stuff about an agenda, trying to call him an angry black man. Again, it's such a weird guy. Explain to me why Manny and I were talking about this before the show, why he's so cool in that car commercial where he's fighting the wolf and he's got his daughter there.
Yeah.
There is this other side of him that is incredibly charming.
Yeah.
Who is he?
Well, that's because, commercials aren't real life.
Yeah, but we interviewed him and he was incredibly charming.
Well, I mean, that's kind of the way it goes with a lot of these people. I'm saying the guys who play on the edge. You meet them in person. I think he could turn on the charm when he wants to.
No.
I mean, somehow landed some pretty famous women.
Yeah,
so clearly there's some kind of riz, He had
a different kind of charm.
Bad boy charm.
He famously mumbled through everything.
Yeah, he was kind of antisocial. I don't know if Draymond Green has that same kind of thing. Dennis Rodman was kind of the profile of like the loner.
I mean, who are the famous irritants in NBA history? Rick Mahorn, Bill Laimbeer.
I've interviewed Laimbeer. He was very nice.
Yeah, and he was not on the court.
No.
I love Rick Mahorn, too. I worked with him back at Sirius. I love that dude.
Yeah,
he seems cool. I mean, I've interviewed Warren Sapp, one of the most intimidating people, and he's smiling and laughing, and you're just wondering, is it real? Because what you saw on the field was just so different than the person who's suddenly in front of you, which is a cool thing we get to experience in this job. But you never know what the real side of it is.
I remember, I believe somebody at the NFL Network wrote, you never knew which Warren Sapp was going to walk into the building.
Sure.
And maybe there's actual, I don't want to say mental illness. Maybe there's something going on with these, because Draymond is hard to explain, but I think Draymond, this is the key to his Hall of Fame career, that he's on the edge. I just don't think he can pull back Draymond and get the good stuff to come out. and not the bad
Okay,
stuff.
but
And
how
also,
about
too,
this?
he's playing mental games with Gobert and all this thing. Like, he's engaged in mental warfare here. It's not totally an accident that he's being aggressive.
Listen, that's fine. That's actually not the problem that I have. I mean, I wish they wouldn't hit people in the head all the time or, listen, I don't have those parts, but I imagine getting hit down below the belt probably feels pretty awful.
It's not fun.
From what I've heard
Wouldn't recommend.
from
Can't
y'all.
confirm.
Yeah, 0 stars, right? But here's the problem I have with it. No accountability in saying, how am I getting stereotyped in this way that I'm being stereotyped like I'm this angry black man when, that's not me. It's like, well, it's you on the court, man. No one's saying this about you being a bad family man. No one's taking it to the personal. You just did, after the game last night. People aren't saying you're a bad father. As far as I've seen, the commentary is what's going on the court where you are unhinged. So take a little accountability. You want to play like that? Acknowledge you play like that, and you understand that referees are going to have a quicker whistle on you. You think James Harrison, all these years later, could have been like, I'm getting railroaded here. It's like, nah, dude, you're getting $100,000 worth of fines because you keep hitting people in the head.
Yeah, but do you think James Harrison would have been a great player if he didn't play like that? He wouldn't have been in the NFL. He was barely in the NFL as is.
Maybe not, but then you can't go to Roger Goodell and say, you got the wrong guy.
Yeah.
No, we got the right guy.
I don't even think James Harrison bothered doing that. He knew everyone knew the drill with that guy.
Yeah, that's true. 888-710-4ISN. My bigger beef is with Jimmy Butler in this game. Anthony Edwards turns his ankle in the first half. You got an opening. You have a lane. We needed a vintage Jimmy performance last night. We got nothing.
Oh, come on. Game 2 on the road, down 13-0 to start the game. Jimmy, save your energy. Let's see you in game 3. And also, too, Jimmy is 35.
So?
I mean,
they just extended him. They just gave him the contract extension.
I just think that Miami kind of is like, all right, we got the best out of this guy. I mean, he's not going to give. I don't know if you're going to get the same Jimmy you got 3 years ago. Does he still have it? I'm not totally sure.
Well, I mean, can you dial it up when Steph's not there? You're one of the great players. I know. Listen, it's not like he took the Heat to back-to-back finals back in the 80s.
No,
Guys,
I know.
this is
I know, but think about who he's been. He didn't play in the playoffs last year because of injury.
Yeah.
This year was weird. I think he's been perfect in this Robin role. I think playing with Steph makes other players so much better simply by being on the court. It's like having Randy Moss. He could take the top off the defense. So he opens up a lot. When teams can key in on Jimmy Butler, it's not to say that he can't have 1 or 2 vintage performances, but there was no chance you were getting that last night, especially with the Warriors experimenting with so many guys on the court.
And listen, maybe they found something. We'll see on Saturday, 888-710-4ISN. I do want to get to Pete McCarthy, who's hanging out with us this morning, giving us all the latest headlines. Good morning, Pete. How you doing?
Good morning, Maggie. Well, this report's sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Insurance for motorcycles, boats, and RVs for protection on the road and on the water. See how much you could save at 1-800-PROGRESSIVE and Progressive.com. We're talking about Jimmy Butler and
Knicks.
His role in the Warriors' offense here. And he was asked about not playing without Steph, the adjustments the Warriors need to make.
It's going to be a lot more attacking and hitting the open guy and attacking again. Everybody knows it's difficult to recreate or even get close to doing what he does. But we're going to have to find a way.
And clearly not a I have to do more kind of answer for Butler there. He was actually outshot by Buddy Hield last night.
Yeah, they needed Buddy to make a few more shots also. That would have helped. He was awesome and kind of this revelation like, oh, yeah, Buddy Hield, amazing shooter, getting his opportunity. And really, the T-Wolves did a great job keying in on him last night when he was on the court.
Now, the T-Wolves had some big-time defense last night, came out motivated. Get into that a little later. But as far as the Warriors trying to find this formula with Steve Kerr.
We had found a formula over the last couple of months, and obviously we're having a lot of success. But without Steph, the formula completely goes out the window, and we've got to figure out the next formula.
Yeah, that experimentation last night involved playing 14 different players, and that wasn't just like a garbage time thing where a bunch of guys came in at the end. They were mixing it up all night long, and unfortunately for Golden State, Stephen Curry didn't exactly make his hamstring strain sound like a quick fix.
This is new, and from all that I'm learning about how quickly you can get back, there has to be a healing process is just the way the body works. You can't accelerate it more than what it's telling you.
Steph will be reevaluated in a week, and also was feeling his basketball mortality a little bit now at 37 years old.
Injuries are always hard emotionally just because you none of this is guaranteed to be back, in this environment or in the playoff experience and have an opportunity like that. So when you get hurt, you have to be intentional about what you focus on.
Curry called the injury a gut punch. He is thankful he still has a chance to come back, but listening to him yesterday, I think if you're the Warriors, you have to plan on likely being without him in this series.
I'm actually surprised he's never had a hamstring injury before. 30, all these years, all the running that he's done, all the movement, that's his game, is just constantly in motion, and he's never had a hamstring injury. So now you're trying to figure that out in the middle of a playoff series. That doesn't sound like a great formula.
EJ and I have a running argument. It's the dumbest argument ever about, is Steph Curry a true point guard? And last night, Barkley came on at halftime and is like, the problem with the Warriors is nobody can play point guard without Steph. My argument is he never, Draymond literally stands at the point of the offense the entire time.
Yeah.
And Steph Curry's never leads the team in assists. So he's not a regular point guard, but man, did they miss him as a point guard last night because they didn't seem to have anybody to organize anything.
They didn't have their point guard playing on the team. That's what happened.
But Draymond stands at the point and Steph runs to the wings like a two guard, and then he runs around the baseline like a two guard.
Sometimes Steph brings it up and orchestrates
sometimes.
the offense.
But
sometimes
Jimmy,
Steph also will pass the ball up early and then start the offense. There's different ways to play point.
Right, but Jimmy also does the same thing. Jimmy averages the same amount of assists, 6 assists a game. He's a facilitator. Draymond's a facilitator.
Yeah, but assists aren't necessarily tell you who the point guard is.
When I grew up, that's how it worked. Rod Strickland had 14 assists. He was the point guard.
He was nice, I know.
That's how it used to work.
No, I get it. It's just, but the Warriors, they run a very complex offense. And the high post guy who Draymond is ends up getting a lot of assists because he's the guy looking for the passes.
Right, he stands at the top of the key and passes the ball around like a point guard. Anyway, that's
Wait, can I tell you guys just jogged my memory on something. We're talking about intimidating athletes. And I remember once being in the locker room, I told you I covered the Wizards for 2 years, and Gilbert Arenas was like in his prime, and he was not intimidating. He was very nice and kind and respectful to the media and all that stuff. But I remember he had a game, and it was like 4 assists or something, and I was like, 4 assists? My question was like, a little low for a point guard, no? And the look he gave me was just like, I'm not talking. I regretted it instantly, and I hung back for like a week after that.
Yeah, I mean, my only point was they shouldn't look so lost on offense without Curry. Because you have Jimmy Butler and Draymond Green, who are classic. Those guys have been playing NBA basketball forever.
I mean,
they should be able to figure some of that stuff out.
I tell you guys yesterday, this team stinks. I don't know anybody. So they're gonna probably get gentlemen swept.
So you don't think they win another game?
Yeah, I mean, unless Anthony Edwards, unless he's really injured, that's one thing. But if Edwards, he's young, maybe he can get back. It'd be fine. If he's fine, they should not win a game against this team. They're not good.
They're going to bring in the lacrosse guy. They got a lot of players.
Spencer.
I love that guy.
He won the Heisman of lacrosse.
He is. He's
good.
Yeah, I didn't even know college lacrosse had a Heisman, but apparently they do. It's called something else.
Yeah, I love this hodgepodge of players they keep bringing in for Golden State.
Quentin Post started. He played 3 minutes.
Who? Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
But he's not the Heisman lacrosse winner.
How come he never got back in the game?
Oh, wait. I'm going to get the name of this trophy. The Heisman lacrosse.
Has anybody started a game, not like Mikal Bridges, where you get hurt, they sub you out immediately just to continue a streak? Has anybody ever started a game and played that few minutes in the NBA without an injury? What was that?
The T. Warrington Award.
Oh, of course, T. Warrington.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair to Quentin Post and Steve Kerr taking him out, he was minus 13 in those 3 minutes. So
how the hell did that happen?
They lost. They were down 13-0, and then you guys want Jimmy Butler to put on his cape and bring him back?
Yeah.
That was called a rest game.
Game 3. Steve Kerr blamed the entire 13-0 run on Quentin Post. He's like, you know what? We're blaming this on you. You sit down.
Pete, what else you got, sir?
Yeah, the Timberwolves, remember Chris Finch, their head coach, called out Anthony Edwards after game 1, and Edwards knew that they had to pick it up.
We watched film yesterday. We seen that it wasn't just we didn't make shots. It was more so our defensive pressure and intensity. We didn't bring it, so we knew we had to bring it today.
Edwards, courtesy of TNT, and yeah, you saw that early on with the 13-0 lead. Edwards later told reporters that this was the biggest game of our career. Which I feel like he likes to say things like that. It's always the biggest game, the biggest win. He says this all the time. It's hard to really follow that. But if it was a loss yesterday for the Timberwolves, that would have been disastrous.
That'd be bad.
Don't want to make big sweeping statements like that.
The biggest game of his career.
Mm-hmm. Well, listen, coach calls you out, right?
Yeah, and the funny thing is he didn't even play that well after the coach.
I didn't think so either.
But I think it was his ankle.
He wasn't good before that, though.
Yeah, he wasn't good in game one.
He was very good defensively. I thought he was active, but, I mean, he only had 7 points, I think. He was not playing great. He's not playing great at all.
Well, you could argue the real injury happened in the Lakers series. That's why he doesn't have the same lift off of one of his legs.
Maybe, yeah. He joked at the end of the game, after the game, that he was like, usually teams want me to shoot threes, and now they're taking away a three, and I'm missing layups. He's like, it's like an adjustment trying to figure out now how to they actually are taking away the three. Now I got to finish, and I'm missing layups.
I think, listen, I definitely think that's the ankle. He's missing all kinds of things at the basket. They showed the video, like LeBron put his full weight of LeBron's body on that ankle and turned the wrong way. Like it's like Jalen Brunson a little bit. This is now a war of attrition. The Warriors just have to hope that he turns it again. I'm crazy. I don't think this series is over.
Wow. That's incredible to me.
I mean, what if everyone gets hurt?
Well, I mean, if he's hurt, that's one thing. But, I mean, he was out of that game, and Randall was dominating. I don't know. They're not that good.
Yeah, that's why I think the series isn't over. Because I complete faith that Julius Randle will cost the T-Wolves at some time.
Oh, he's been good. He's been good in these playoffs.
Oh, okay.
I'm not. Has he not been?
Okay. I'm just saying. I know Julius Randle, and I know postseason Julius Randle.
You think postseason Julius Randle? You're looking at two guys behind this glass, sir.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
The Knicks fans are getting a little, they're getting like flashbacks. We just lost them down a rabbit hole of Julius Randle's playoff lowlights. Pete, thank you so much. We'll have to leave it there. We'll get to you next hour. Thank you. Okay, lots to do, including, people at the podium yesterday. Very important. Talking about the upcoming season for your San Francisco 49ers. Warrior fans, if you're feeling sick today, it's okay. 49ers back on the scene. We'll get to that next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. It's Friday. Let's get to new Pope. Yeah, go ahead. Before I get to the San Francisco 49ers, Pearl, why don't you tell everybody what's going on?
This portion of the show brought to you by Ethos Life, the easy way to get life insurance in 10 minutes. Up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam, just a few health questions. Get your free quote at checkethos.com, not available in all states.
Get to New Pope and Chicago Bob in a minute because big sports fan and also very important to a couple people on this show about where his rooting interests may lie. But first, let's get to the 49ers because, listen, it's a big deal to me that Brock Purdy doesn't have a contract yet. Is everyone talking very positively? Yes, they are, and that's a good sign. You don't want passive-aggressive, cryptic quotes, especially when it comes to your quarterback. But we don't have pen to paper. Now, we did have a little bit more, some updates, if you will, on what the rest of the offense and defense may look like for your 49ers, which Perloff is expecting a huge bounce-back season for them.
Let's go, Niners.
Here's Clay Kubiak, who's the new offensive coordinator, says Christian McCaffrey, remember him? Looks good, looks healthy.
Christian's doing great. He looks awesome, and we're pumped up that he's out there working every day. So I look forward to getting him back out there full time.
Okay, and more on how important CMC is to what they're trying to do.
You guys saw in 2023 how important he is to what we want to be as an offense. I mean, he's an elite player, and we're going to do everything we can to get him the ball, as much as we can. And so, yeah, his health is really important. He's one of our, central players on offense. We want to hand him the ball. We want to throw him the ball. How he changes defenses when he's on the field for how they have to play us in certain coverages, right? And certain, putting more guys in the box to stop the run. Like, it has an effect on the opponent.
Yeah, I'm going to respectfully disagree here with Clay Kubiak on this, which is, you have a guy who's coming off an injury. He's going to be 29 years old. He only played 4 games last year. To say we're getting him the ball as much as humanly possible, I don't know if that's how I'd start off the season, quite frankly, because the most important games that I need Christian McCaffrey for is probably everything post-Thanksgiving if you really have designs on getting back to where you want to be, which is the Super Bowl. I know we talk about load management in basketball, and it really annoys everybody. Rightfully so. 82 games, though, you can understand it. You can squint and see it. I'm not saying pitch count, but I wouldn't go full bore on McCaffrey straight out of the gate if I were the 49ers. To me, what do the games in September do for you? Jack squat. If I really think I'm going to be a Super Bowl contender, then I want McCaffrey. I'm not saying put him in bubble wrap, but something close to that until I actually need to win games down the stretch.
Would you have said the same thing about Saquon Barkley in Philadelphia last year? Coming into the season?
Was he coming off an injury?
I mean, it's Saquon Barkley. He's always coming off an injury. Yes, he was.
Was he coming off an injury? Maybe, but he's a lot younger.
No, he's not.
How old's Barkley? He's not 29.
He's past 25. He's not that much.
He was born
younger.
97. He's my age, so 27 years old.
Okay. I mean, Pearl, you always say it. It's a steep
Did.
cliff for
But
running backs,
I
especially
did,
ones
and
with usages like Christian McCaffrey.
Then I saw Derrick Henry last year, and there are certain freaks that do not follow that rule. I understand. I kind of agree with you in principle, but first of all, he's just talking. We don't have a game for 3 months. We'll see how they actually use McCaffrey. Obviously, McCaffrey, you do agree that McCaffrey is the key to what they're doing.
I mean, I think that he's extremely important. I think if he's your key, though, I think that you could.
I think they have to do that.
I don't think you. Can you really, if you're the 49ers, go into a season and say Christian McCaffrey's running for 2,000 yards?
No, but I think you heard.
No.
But you definitely are going to use him as a receiver a lot. That was very clear. And that's one of the things he said. I would even line him up in slot sometimes. He's the best receiving running back in the NFL. He's basically
great.
a receiver like his dad.
No, I understand. And his hands have changed the running back position. I mean, he's not the only one to do it, but how he turned into this pass catching weapon now, if you're coming out of college and you're a wide receiver, like you have to have this skill.
That's why he went number 8 in the draft. He is unique as a dual threat. And is it just me, or if you're throwing him the ball, that's less wear and tear than just giving him a bunch of handoffs. I think that they'd be smart to use him as a weapon. Use him all over the place. Don't let the defense know where he's going to be. My question is, if that's the case, do they have a guy who can give him some relief? The Jordan Mason type, the backup running back.
The only thing is, you just heard from Clay Kubiak there, their offense coordinator, goes, you saw in 2023 how important he was to what we were doing. Well, Christian McCaffrey led the league in rushing yards that year. So you're all of a sudden going to take the wear and tear off of him? Maybe. I would suggest it. That would be me. I wouldn't go into the season thinking we're getting another 1,500-yard rushing season out of McCaffrey. You want him in those post-Thanksgiving games to be as absolutely healthy as possibly can be. Like, build towards the end of the season.
I hear you. He had a lot less carries than Barkley did last year. This is coach speak. And again, you're worried about the Brock Purdy contract. It's May. I don't think you should be worried about any of that. That honestly, I think the Niners are doing all the right things. I think they're going to get Purdy done sooner than expected. I don't think this is going to be a problem like Brandon Ayuk was last year. I do think they learned their lesson from last year's offseason. Maybe I'm being overly optimistic.
Can I also bring up one other thing about McCaffrey that's a little bit different than Saquon Barkley? The amount of playoff games. I mean, McCaffrey over the last 2 years has played 6 extra games in the playoff over 2023 and 2024, right? They go all the way to the NFC Championship game. They lose to your Eagles when Purdy got hurt. Then obviously they go all the way to the Super Bowl and lose in overtime to Kansas City. Barkley had played in 2 playoff games? 2. He was awesome against the Minnesota Vikings, and they got blown out against the Eagles. It's just it's more games even than McCaffrey has been playing over the last couple of years. Barkley was ready for this season behind that unbelievable offensive line. I just would be a little more careful with McCaffrey if I were the 49ers.
Barkley had 345 carries last year. In 2023, when McCaffrey led the league in rushing, he had 272, so that's about 75 less. But
what about the postseason?
Yeah, no, you're right. There's a lot of wear and tear, but they do use him as a primary back, but not like. But Barkley and Henry last year had a lot more carries. They have generally
he had another 100 carries in those 6 postseason games.
Also, by the way,
combined.
McCaffrey, you got to remember the catches too. 67 catches. Other touches.
But generally, I do think the Niners do spread the ball around a little bit more than Saquon with the Giants for sure. It was like that was all they had.
Right, but you just told me, didn't you just ask me, isn't McCaffrey so important to what the 49ers want to do?
I also, too, I do think that they don't give him as many carries as he had in 2023. They need him when he's on the field, like you got to worry about Christian McCaffrey. I think that's what the assistant is saying. So he's going to be on the field, but they're going to have other weapons. He also, I keep getting excited. There's a narrative out there. Warren Sharp put out his strength of schedule, which he doesn't just base on win-loss record. It's on sort of Vegas projection.
Sure.
And the Niners don't just have the number 1 easiest schedule. They have the number 1 easiest schedule by a mile. People are getting into the Niners in a big way. And they had this defensive draft that everyone's like, oh, my God, how did these guys fall to them? They got a couple guys that were supposed to go earlier. So I just think that people are sleeping on the Niners because they could recreate the 2021, 2022 team.
Listen, I love Warren Sharp, and he's really smart dude. But how do you know? I get being easy, but before the schedule's released and you don't know the travel schedule, how can you tell?
These are, last year, you obviously have traditional strength of schedule, which is last year's win-loss record.
Right. But you don't know where you're traveling. You don't
Does
know.
that make that big of a, you kind of know. I mean, you know where the games are. You know where every game is.
You don't know if you're playing 3 games in 11 days.
That does not make that big a difference.
888-710-4ISN. Coming up, George Pickens is in Dallas yesterday.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. 15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
Well, it was a trade that we thought was on ice and came back from the dead, but George Pickens is a Dallas Cowboy Pearl. It happened earlier this week. It was breaking news on Wednesday. He was in Dallas yesterday to meet the media. I have no idea. Maybe, EJ, you can tell us about this. Why is there no video of this? We have nothing of George Pickens speaking into a microphone when the Cowboys are like one of the more media, I don't want to say savvy, but definitely one of the more front-facing, like, you know, they're doing tours through the weight room at the Star and Jerry World. I have no idea why they didn't have a traditional press conference here.
I don't know. Maybe they're worried that George Pickens doesn't have his look together. You know, they need to get him. You know how people dress in Dallas? It's a very fancy town. I have no idea.
He doesn't have his fit check. Was,
I
don't
have the slightest clue.
Anyway, okay. So I think the biggest takeaway, obviously, super complimentary of CeeDee Lamb. The quotes that are coming out of Dallas is that, you know, he, had nothing but nice things to say. Says that he wants to be a culture builder. But then when it came to taking any accountability for a reputation that he developed in Pittsburgh because of the things that he was doing, right? And some of the outbursts and the on-the-field stuff. I'm not even talking about anything off the field. I don't even have anything to say about off the field. It's just about the locker room, the facility, being late to a game, multiple personal foul penalties, his old coach calling him immature. Did not address it at all, dodged it, no accountability. It's almost, I can't tell if he really got the message here. Like, hey, this team just gave up on you because you were unreliable, and now this team's taking a chance. This is a personal journey he's going to have to go through, but at least the outward quotes were just like, hey, this is a business. It's like, it's a business. They got rid of you. I don't think that's what's going on here. They got rid of you because they didn't trust you.
Well, also he's due a new contract in a year, and he wanted that contract now, and the Steelers didn't want to give it to him. So I understand it's always about money. This is totally about money. Now, I think the Cowboys are banking on him saying, all right, my contract's up after a year. I'm going to behave because I know I'm going to get paid. I won't. Also, you forgot he calls out his coaches a lot for not getting targets. Probably rightfully so in Pittsburgh. But yeah, so here's the debate. When you bring in a guy like this, can you get one good year out of him because he's playing for his contract? One good year behavior-wise. And that, I think, is I tend to say no. I mean, he's going to Dallas. And, he's saying all the right things now. But what happens in the middle of the season if he's not getting targets because CeeDee Lamb's getting all the targets and he knows his contract is looming over his head?
Yeah.
Don't you fear that he will be upset with his usage and say something if he's not getting the ball? See, all receivers to me are like that, but he seems particularly irritated when he's not being used a lot. I think that could happen.
No doubt. I mean, this is the risk reward of bringing in George Pickens because, he is looking for a new contract. But here's the other part of it. I would say this for the Cowboys, at least they got this going for them. You don't have two receivers looking for a new contract. So I'm not expecting to hear from CeeDee Lamb if his targets go down because he is having to share the ball with George Pickens. I know. I get it.
He's a receiver, Maggie. That's a lot of faith in CD.
No, I understand. But he got paid.
I know, but A.J. Brown got paid, and he was mad last year when Saquon was getting all the targets in Philly, all the carries.
I mean, they just won the Super Bowl. So I think that, they all got vindicated on that. But A.J. Brown was a problem. I get it.
It was a bit dicey.
Dude's reading inner excellence on the sideline. It's just not normal behavior.
Yeah. So again, like you're assuming everybody is going to get along. It's going to be a kumbaya moment in Dallas. I'm assuming that's not going to happen.
Right. Well, I guess what I'm really relying on here is I don't know George Pickens has got a clean slate now in Dallas, and he can try to rehab his reputation and also put up a great year. But to be honest, you can't have it be made worse and compounded by CeeDee Lamb, right? Lamb can't be complaining. Pickens can't be complaining, and Lamb can't be complaining. They have to understand that this is a tandem, and that the better they both are and not complaining about targets, the better the Cowboys have of actually winning something. Are you winning players or are you not? Because George Pickens also was defending himself yesterday that he won a championship at Georgia, so he knows what it's like. This is in college, obviously. He knows what it's like to win. He's like, I've played in the playoffs. I know what it's like to get to the playoffs. Going back to the college thing, I thought was a little interesting. I don't know if that necessarily translates. It has not so far with Pittsburgh. Right. But some of this is going to be on Brian Schottenheimer. It's going to be on Dak Prescott. It's going to be on CD. They're all going to have to exist here in harmony and try to make things better.
Yeah, he left coach in Pittsburgh, Mike Tomlin. What makes you think Dallas is going to achieve all this and have him fit better into the culture than he did in Pittsburgh, which is, I know, lately Pittsburgh's offensive culture has been terrible because their coaching's been so bad.
Yeah, what's the
But generally, though, if it's not going to work in Pittsburgh, who's made the playoffs pretty much every year or had a winning record every year, why would it work on a Dallas team that's coming off a losing record that often when things start going wrong, starts fraying at the seams? They always fall apart when things go wrong. And I know Dak's supposed to be this leader. Dak's a leader when things are going well. When things are going bad, he doesn't seem to reach the other guys. So I just think it's very combustible.
Well, you're right about that, but I also say that, compared to, it's not exactly Murderer's Row who Pickens has played in terms of quarterbacks in Pittsburgh. So, it's the Kenny Pickett's and Mitchell Trubisky's. And yeah, you did have Russell Wilson and you had Justin Fields there last year, but this is not, prime Russell Wilson. This is not, I don't know what Justin Fields is going to be. No one does.
Here's the problem, too. Even if this does work, all of a sudden Dallas is in this very, very difficult division. They have the defending champion Eagles, and it looks like Commanders are real. I'm not sure. Maybe Jaden Daniels has a year 2 step back, but they once again had a big offseason, added a lot of guys.
And they brought in Deebo Samuel, and no one seems worried about him coming in or complaining about touches or whatever. He's a different part of his career. Obviously, he's already gotten paid. But
you can't compare Deebo Samuel and George Pickens. Deebo Samuel has been nothing but successful. Guy's been was he at the first Super Bowl team? He's been to at least one Super Bowl.
He's been to multiple. No, but
been on all of them.
Yeah, he's been on all those teams. But
was he a rookie on that?
But he's also can be a hothead on the sideline. He got into it with his own long snapper last year.
He's a winning player. He'll do anything for the team. The guy lined up at running back.
Yeah, and then complained about it, which I understand, wanted to get paid accordingly, and did. It's different. I'm just saying that other teams are willing to absorb guys who have, big personalities. Pickens, it's not really a big personality thing. It's an immaturity thing.
I don't think you can compare Deebo Samuel and George Pickens at all. I just think George Pickens has a worse reputation. There's a long history of issues with George Pickens. Do you think Deebo ever showed up late to a game? Do you think Deebo missed practices? And Deebo didn't really call out, as I recall, his offensive coaches the way that George Pickens did multiple times.
I'm not saying it's exactly apples to apples. There's no exact apples to George Pickens, quite frankly. I'm just saying that you just had another team who is on the ascent, who has, who is taking a chance on bringing a guy who definitely wants targets and touches into the building.
I take 100 Deebo Samuels. He's a warrior. That guy will lay it on the line for his teammates and his team. 100. I mean, Deebo Samuel, I think, is almost the opposite of George Pickens. That's what we don't know about George Pickens. There's a report that he didn't want to block, and they pulled him out of a bunch of games for that. I just don't think he's a team player or has not been a team player. Deebo is very much a team player. I mean, he will, talk about a receiver who blocks, he will pancake a guy.
Oh, I get
Pickens
that. He's
not
physical,
that guy.
But I think you're misremembering here. And now we're on a Deebo thing. I mean, I just meant to say that as a team who brings in guys who have, there's more to them than just the play on the field, which you'd say about Deebo.
That's so funny. I wouldn't say that.
He didn't want to line up at running back.
Yeah, I know, because he was
not.
a contract. Then last year he said, because he wanted to get paid as a receiver, get a lot of targets. But Deebo's a huge team guy. I mean, he's a leader. That's the thing. Pickens is none of that. Deebo is one of the great leaders in the NFL.
Which is funny because I feel like we always have this conversation where you don't think anyone besides quarterbacks are meant to be leaders. You've told me pass rushers can't be leaders. Michael Parsons can't be a leader. We never look to wide receivers to be leaders. You always say that's a quarterback's role.
Niners are a bit of Niners are a bit of an exception because they build around the quarterback. They're a very unique team. I mean, Brock Purdy obviously is not exactly going in there like Peyton Manning, right? I mean,
convenient for your argument.
Well, I'm just saying, like,
all quarterbacks are leaders, except we're not expecting anything from Brock Purdy. He's about to get paid $55 million a year. Then will you expect a leadership from Purdy?
No, Brock Purdy's in a very different spot. Like, Brock Purdy is a point guard with all these talented players around. That's why I wouldn't pay him $53 million. He's not Patrick Mahomes. Yeah, of course, Kittle and Debo were the leaders on that, and McCaffrey. Brock Purdy's not expected to do the same things as most quarterbacks.
Okay, we're off topic a little bit. Back to George Pickens, though. Is there any chance that he can make good on some of these, promises that he's making, at least on day one here in Dallas, that he's going to contribute to a winning culture, that he wants to, not thinking about his contract, said it's not on his mind. He's just trying to be where he is and do the one day at a time thing. It was a lot of cliches. But to be fair, he, besides taking accountability for stuff that happened in Pittsburgh, which I can understand, you want to just sort of flip the page on that, he was saying all the right things. I have no idea why this is not on video. I know maybe I'm in the media, so I'm looking at that a little sideways, but he's your big trade. You would think you'd have him everywhere, billboards, the whole deal, right?
I think we're a little caught up on
that didn't raise an eyebrow to anybody. It's the most media front-facing organization
so you're saying
you possibly
there's some
have.
Intent here.
Damn act together.
I think they're going to try to shield him a little bit, as much as anyone can at the Cowboys, because they understand that this is going to be, lead to a lot of attention. Not that he didn't get a lot in Pittsburgh, but I think they're doing this kind of on purpose, where they're going to sort of try to keep him a little bit away from the spotlight as much as possible. Because when they traded for Amari Cooper, I feel like he was right there having a press conference. Everything was normal.
I got to tell you, the more I think about it, he's definitely going to be Chase Claypool. This is not going to work. He's going to be all the other Steelers guys. It might work for a month. It's just not going to work.
You don't trust him. He hasn't earned your trust. I'll give you that.
I just think the guys leave Pittsburgh, and Pittsburgh knows what it's doing when it comes to receivers. There's just too much of a track record. They're like the Braves with pitchers. He's just so similar. I mean, it feels like the same movie we've seen a million times. Pittsburgh drafts a troubled but physically talented receiver, has a window of production, and then he wears out his welcome, goes to another team, and is a disappointment. It's the oldest trick in the book for Pittsburgh.
888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476. Any Cowboy fans warming up to this one?
If you're a Cowboys fan, you had a good point yesterday. What do you have to lose? This is a time to take a massive risk. So I don't think, if you're Cowboys fans, you're probably excited, but this is a time when you have unrealistic expectations. It sounds awesome in May. I just wonder in November, week 9, he gets 2 targets in a game and afterwards throws his helmet in the locker room. How's that going to go?
Well, yeah, that's the one thing you don't want is the Cowboys win. CeeDee Lamb has a huge game. Dak has a big game, but he only had 3 catches or something. And then it's like he's complaining. Right.
Well, by the way, Dak, and it's November. I didn't say October.
888.
We're going to see Dak. That was awfully optimistic to start with.
888-710-4ISN. How about on the flip side, though? One general manager saying a draft strategy, take the bad guy. What? Get to that in just a moment. Who went on the record saying they like, I don't even know if I can say this word on the air.
Yeah, you have to do the abbreviated version.
I don't even know if I want to do the abbreviated version.
Really?
It kind of feels weird coming out of my mouth as a woman,
Oh, well, you're a woman, so I'm not going to.
I don't know if I want to say it. Let me think about it in the break. Come back and see if I'm not going to spell it.
What about the short version of it?
I still think that's unbecoming of a woman to say this word. Well, you guys will be the judge. 888-710-4ISN.
Here we go.
You're in a 5-minute break. 4 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
All right, this MLS game preview is sponsored by Lowe's. Members get more with My Lowe's Rewards. Don't wait. Join for free today. Lowe's, we help you save. What do you got, Manny?
Well, Pearl, Saturday afternoon, soccer fans around the country will turn its eyes to St. Paul, Minnesota, where Lionel Messi and Inter Miami will take the pitch of Allianz Field to take on Minnesota. Inter Miami sits in 4th place in the East with 21 points and a match in hand of conference leader Columbus, who has 24 points. So a victory would have Messi and the Herons a little closer to the top of the standings. Don't sleep on Minnesota, though. They have 19 points this season. That places them second in the Western Conference. Tani Oluwasi, EJ, the former St. John's product, he leads the Loons with 5 goals on the season. Battle of the Birds, Herons, Loons, Inter Miami, Minnesota United. From Allianz Field in St. Paul, kickoff slated for Saturday, 4:30 Eastern, 3:30 Central.
We would never, ever sleep on Minnesota soccer.
Well, I mean, you'd be a fool to. Did you see Brady doing that interview with Logan Paul would not pick between Messi and Ronaldo?
Show some backbone.
I know.
Why don't you do something for once in your life, TB? Show some backbone and tell us that it's Lionel Messi and why.
I'm assuming he's obviously got some relationship with these guys, right? Like,
has to.
I mean, they must have encountered each other, and I think Brady's turned into quite a big soccer dude.
I mean, goats always get intertwined with other goats, so that wouldn't surprise me. But the correct answer is Lionel Messi.
I'm not going to open that can of worms. 888-710-4.
Show a backbone, Maggie. Show a backbone.
ISN. We thought this one was kind of interesting. We were talking about George Pickens with the Dallas Cowboys, and it just so happens that far away in Tampa, Florida, Jason Light, who's the GM of the Buccaneers, who's obviously had a lot of success there, used to work for the Patriots, Pearl, respected GM in the league. He was on the J.P. Peterson show, and he has a interesting draft strategy. Likes to draft the bad guy.
The a-holes and douchebags line was awesome and epic, and I just absolutely love it. I know you've got probably a lot of reaction. My question is, how many a-holes and douchebags did you take off your board? Just in general, how many do you take off your board maybe per year, this year and per year?
It varies year to year, and it's, I don't know, probably 20.
20? Wow.
Maybe more. Probably more. That's a good question. I'll have to look that up.
Okay. Says more. He said the process is complicated, though. There's a lot of factors that go into whether or not you want to draft one of those guys.
Yeah. Now, we have a long process, okay? We have a long process of defining who we're taking off and who we're not. Now, it's just because a guy's maybe people don't like him and he's a, D-bag or an asshole, we're not going to just automatically take him off. It's got to affect their football character, and it's got to affect the team. I mean, there's a lot of people that fit that description that are very good football players, and maybe it works in their favor.
It's funny, actually, we were talking about Draymond Green earlier today as like someone who plays on the edge, right?
Right.
And George Pickens, somebody who's just been really immature. Last one here from Jason Light on the difference between drafting different types of, like air quotes, bad character guys.
There's a difference between a bad guy and an immature person. And we'll take immature and help them develop. But, we just don't want people that are going to affect the locker room in a negative way that affects the performance of others and the team and ultimately puts them before the team.
Right, and that's fair, but I kind of like a little bit of candor there, Perloff, about, just because a guy is not that likable, as long as they're not impacting other people and they're doing their job, it doesn't take someone off their board necessarily in Tampa.
Well, it's funny because this is relevant because George Pickens was apparently off half the boards in the NFL. We all know about that. I mean, it's inarguable that drafting low character guys, quote unquote, low character guys who fall in the draft because they got in trouble in college has worked out great for Super Bowl champions. But I have a question, the Chiefs.
In some ways, in some instances. Well, there's a very famous one that didn't work out well.
Which one?
Aaron Hernandez. That's the extreme.
That worked out amazing.
Why? They didn't win a Super Bowl with Hernandez.
They were great. They didn't win with it, but regardless, he was a great player.
I understand that, but I mean that really backfired. I don't believe he was on.
He was already gone.
He was in that. He was in those 9 years where they lost to the Giants both times.
Okay. Anyway, that one worked out good, but obviously Tyreek Hill with the Chiefs worked out amazing. The Eagles already drafted Jalen Carter.
Yep.
That worked out amazing. The Cowboys drafted. I mean, New England did not care at all about character.
No,
they drafted guy after guy, and guys
the
would
Ravens
implode.
now.
The Ravens now. So the good teams draft character guys. You need a strong quarterback to do it. You need a locker room. But generally, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Do you have problems with guys who, for example, let's take Joe Mixon, hit a woman in college. Would you have drafted him even if you thought he could help your team?
I would not. But, I also...
Or would you want your favorite team, the Bills, to draft a guy?
No, and I think it puts your fan base in this horrible position when you do stuff like that, because you're basically saying, I want to keep rooting for this team, but I don't want to root for this guy. And it puts fans in a really tough spot,
But isn't the bottom line about winning, though?
It feels weird, though, I think it does. And I actually think Pittsburgh Steelers fans had to go through this a lot with Ben Roethlisberger, because he also is your quarterback. He's getting accused by 2 different women of these terrible things. And they go to the Super Bowl that year when he was suspended 6 games because of what allegedly happened in a bathroom at a bar in Georgia in the offseason that, was not good. However you want to slice that. So I do think it creates this horrible conflict. I can tell you in a smaller sense, I don't know if anyone else does this, maybe not. Like, I don't draft those guys in my fantasy teams and stuff like that. I do try to actually, for the very small, my, Go Bills, fantasy team. I do not. And
that's the name?
No, I was just making it up. But
I got to tell you, I want to get in a fantasy league with you.
Go Bills.
No, I try to actually extend that and not to make it into this broader conversation, but there's so much stuff we don't know about guys. Like, you're never going to fully know who people are, who women are, men are, and how they act in their private life. And, I even try to do this sometimes with, music artists and things like that. I don't know everything. I probably listen to songs of guys who are and women who have acted really, really badly in their personal life. But if for things I do know, like I don't listen to Chris Brown. Stop listening to Diddy.
Yep.
Don't listen to Kanye. Because again, and I'm sure I'm listening to bands from the 60s and 70s, and these guys were horrible behind the scenes and, or whatever. But for the people I do know, I actually, all right, I know that I saw that photo of Rihanna. Like, that was disturbing to me what Chris Brown did to her all those years ago. I don't want to listen to his music. And I don't like it when I hear it in, workout classes and things like that. It does bother me. But you can't know everything.
Michael Jackson.
Exactly. Won't play it for Lucas now, which is kind of sucks because it's such great music. And
so in most cases, you will not separate the art from the artist.
And I understand that I'm owning this. I'm not perfect on it because how could I know everything that's going on with every person? But the things I do know, I'm like,
It's a tough assignment though, because you don't know everything.
Right.
I got one this weekend. Arcade Fire is on Saturday Night Live. There's an incredible new album out.
Yeah.
And my daughter actually loves Arcade Fire for some reason.
Great stadium anthems.
Yeah, she loves the woman in it, and he's been accused of terrible things.
Oh, really?
And he's on Saturday. It's hard. It's really hard. This one is going to sound awful. I'm a big fan of the Woody Allen comedies, and
Woody Allen.
I got to be honest. I don't watch them as much anymore. I can't. I'm not going to show my kids Annie Hall or whatever.
Very conflicted walking into a movie theater to see Blue Jasmine or whatever.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, even if the movie's good, I hear you. It feels like I think everybody has a balance. You can't. You're like you said. You can't knock out everybody. But the fact that you don't draft character guys on your fantasy team, that's pretty interesting. That's kind of cool. Although I got to tell you,
I'm not very good at
let's
fantasy.
get in there. Let's take advantage of Maggie with her character class.
I don't think Joe Mixon was going to win my league.
This is it's so relevant to the draft, and I'm glad that Jason Light said that, because Mike Green was sitting there in the draft, a first round talent who fell to the second round because of real serious character issues. And gosh, I don't know if I was a GM what I would do.
There are people we know who have abandoned the Browns because of the Deshaun Watson thing. So
Yeah.
I'm not the only one who makes this calculation.
But I'm not calling you out on this.
Yeah.
When they signed him, you're like, well, I get it.
Yeah, I did. I understood it. But like I said, you're putting your fan base in a really tough spot because, I've been rooting for teams we all have. Am I going to put away 30 years of rooting for a team because of one bad character? I hated the fact they had Von Miller. I mean, how many more things does Von have to get linked to before we realize this guy's an all-time talent and an all-time, and he'll go into the Hall of Fame. But come on.
Go Bills.
Rap sheet's getting a little long here for Von in terms of, not rap sheet, the accusations. Let me be fair to him. The accusations are getting a little they're following him.
What about a guy where you're not quite sure? What about Ray Lewis?
I interviewed Ray Lewis, and I got so much backlash for it.
What about Kobe Bryant? Kobe Bryant is worshipped.
Kobe, Lawrence Taylor. I've had to interview people with some really dicey past.
Well, I'll tell you right now, Kobe Bryant is they're posters.
I know.
And do you have a problem with that? It's hard.
It's hard. You're putting me in a tough spot because
my only point is very, very tough to stay resolute on this.
Here's the thing. This is where I kind of fall on it. We should not be. We love athletes and we love following them, and we've made this our livelihood. But the blind hero worship of these people cannot exist. Right. And I know that there were a lot of people who got backlash of bringing up things about Kobe in the Colorado case, obviously in the wake of his tragic death. I think there is a time and place. You got to do the full scope of the person, though. Like, we can't just put our head in the sand. I think there's another part, too, about living your apology. Right. I've always said this about Michael Vick. Michael Vick, who was embroiled in that horrible dog fighting ring, became a spokesperson for the ASPCA, went to prison, for goodness sakes, served his time, became a spokesperson, became an advocate. This is obviously much different than Kobe, but really seemed to live his apology. Never got in trouble for it again. Like, I kind of respect somebody who...
I do. But other than Michael Vick, name another guy who lived his apology. Because
to be honest,
a lot of guys are accused of domestic violence and sexual assault, and there's no living your apology for that.
I mean, I do think that Ray Rice is living his apology as much as he can, not as much as he can, but I think he has become, an advocate. So
he's a high school football coach now in Maryland, if anybody's wondering.
Right. So, you want
that's a good one, yeah.
You want to hope that guys do, I don't want to just throw people out, but you also have to look at the full scope of the person.
And the funny thing, too, I think the media and me and you and everybody, ultimately, we really rip guys for wins and losses. Like, we kill guys when they blow a game. And our job is not to sit here and judge them for off the field, really. It's sort of, that's not exactly what we do.
No, it's not, but we started this with playing, cuts from GM Jason Light at Tampa Bay of kind of how you decipher who's good character, who's bad character. So they're doing it. We talk about culture contributing to winning, guys who do that and don't do that. Can George Pickens go into a Dallas Cowboys locker room and be a force multiplier, or is he going to be immature and the same stuff that we saw in Pittsburgh? So it does bleed in.
All that stuff, by the way, you mentioned, important distinction. That was on the field or in the locker room, not off the field stuff.
Yeah, I think everyone's got their own personal line. And I don't know. I mean, do you guys watch movies of people? Who was the guy, Jonathan Majors, right? Who was...
Oh, my God. That was so tricky.
That was really hard, right?
Yeah, I mean, I had to watch that movie. Well, actually...
he has a new movie that came out that nobody watched because...
The Ant-Man movie, I think the allegation came out after Ant-Man, so I guess I didn't watch it.
He had this movie where he's a bodybuilder that would have been a big movie, but they buried it, and then they pulled him out of the whole Marvel series.
Yeah, and people who have gone to see it, I'm not watching anything he's doing.
Right, and listen, you do hold things against people. Maybe it's your own personal thing. Like, I'm not going to see a Mel Gibson movie or something like that. He said things that were really reprehensible. It's like, I wouldn't buy a Kanye album.
Yeah, same here. I mean, Kanye's the one, I've told you guys before, Kanye's the one that I threw out. I was just like, and that's crazy. Like, arguably maybe my favorite rapper of all time. And to me, for me, it was like, no, this is too much.
I forgot. I was walking around with a Life of Pablo sweatshirt that I bought I went to his concert, and I was like, what am I doing? I got to, just retire this thing from the rotation.
You know what I think is a big thing, though, for me, too, is always when you present yourself a certain way in terms of, so Kanye, for example, this idea that, well, I'm, talking about, social issues in a certain way, and then when it comes to social issues, you then say things that are reprehensible. To me, it's like, well, that music I'm listening to, that's part of who you are.
Right,
that's part of your art. So, I can't take your art seriously because you're not living your art. You're living your art in, literally the opposite way, in, a really reprehensible way.
Right.
So, to me, that's a added layer. Where maybe some guys with football, it's like, well, he's just a football player. Right. Maybe that's a different calculus for some people. But I think with the artists and the movie people as well, I think it's a little different when your art sometimes speaks to, these issues that you may have trouble with.
Listen, and I'm not saying I'm doing it right. And if people want to just completely separate the person from what they see on the field, I'm not judging you for that. No way. I get it.
Yeah, to me, I always felt like I can never judge somebody for doing whatever they want to do. I can only control what I can control. Right. I don't listen to Chris Brown. I don't listen to Kanye. I don't want a lot of these really bad character guys. I remember there was always rumors that the Knicks were interested in Miles Bridges. Ironically, they have Mikal Bridges, but Miles Bridges, of course, had several domestic violence. He was suspended essentially for a whole season. And I would not have been okay with that.
Yeah, you don't want to root for him.
What about when Tyreek Hill was choosing between the Dolphins and the Jets? Did that come into your mind as a Jets fan?
Yeah, it did. And that was, to be honest, that was a lot harder because that was a thing where for me it was like, well, what? That's the tricky thing, right? Because Tyreek Hill is a lot better than Miles Bridges.
So that means you have, that sounds totally wrong.
No, but I'm not speaking to like that there's not, like I'm not perfect either, right?
Yeah.
But that's the thing. And
like if he's good enough, I'm willing to overlook the character.
Right, but I don't think I never had to make the decision because they didn't get him, right? But I know for me, it was like, this guy's a little much, I don't know. So it's tricky. It really is.
But you did throw out your Kanye albums. I
did, yeah. No Kanye, no Chris Brown.
I think what we landed on, their degrees, and there's a calculus. It's like every decision is, as you said at the start, it's not simple. But if I'm a team, by the way, they're playing football. They are not. I would lean towards taking the character guys because those character guys fall and they go to the contenders who have strong locker rooms, and then those contenders stay contenders for years. This guy, Mike Green, is going to kill it for the Ravens. We all know it. We know he's going to be effective, right? Is there any doubt?
888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476. Where's the line for you? Just completely separate things. Listen, it's not for me to, not that anyone's judging, but where do you put the line? Or maybe in some cases you are judging. Maybe there's not that's not such a terrible thing.
You know who I really wanted, by the way, bad character guy? When Laramie Tunsil came on with the bomb, I was like,
is he bad character? I mean,
well, that's pretty bad football. Yeah, to be
he was getting blackmailed. This wasn't his fault. He was literally getting blackmailed.
Well,
and someone
anyway,
had that video.
He fell to 12 or 13. I wanted the Eagles to trade up so bad because I'm like, this guy is going to be a huge value. And he turned out he was.
Let's get to Pete McCarthy, who's with us this morning on Updates. Good morning, Pete.
Good morning. Well, this is where, like EJ, I'm thankful to be a Jets fan, where we always have the moral high ground.
I don't know about that.
We hang banners for that, I think.
You had Tebow in the building. I mean, I think that's as close as you get to like I don't know.
Like having the Pope on your team.
Yeah, like a higher being. Yeah. He's as close as we got.
Hey, take a total left turn here. Yeah. We had one of my favorites last night, some late-night overtime playoff hockey.
Crank it up the right wing to Perry, now to McDavid with room, gets in over the line, across, Draisaitl, scores! Leon Draisaitl ends the game in overtime. 5-4, Oilers win.
Oilers Radio Network, Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl on a 2-on-1. That is trouble. And the Oilers have now a 2-0 lead with that series shifting to Edmonton. Of course, this would be the year that Canada breaks its drought. They haven't won a Stanley Cup since 1993. Edmonton, Winnipeg, Toronto, all very much at play. Toronto's up 2-0 in their series against Florida as well.
I know. Well, Pete, I've deemed 2025 the year of the drought buster. So I'm hoping that the Maple Leafs, maybe the Knicks, these teams that haven't won in a really long time finally break the drought.
All the NHL
all the
teams, except the Capitals would be a problem for Maggie. Is that?
Yeah, that doesn't really fit.
What are the stars? I actually looked this up this morning. 1999, does that count?
I think so. If it starts with a 19, I think you're officially in a drought.
I mean, Canada would be a big one.
No,
I mean, and of course with Ovechkin being part Canadian now, maybe that could work. But
that was a big mistake.
The NHL is really helping your argument, by the way. If the Leafs, the Leafs would just blow the other teams out of the water.
Well, Rory was the one who really got me going on this.
Yeah, I thought your Yukon women was a little thin because it wasn't that long of a drought.
Almost a decade.
Yeah, for them, you're right. That's a long time. But it's not like the Cubs or Toronto Maple Leafs.
That's true.
It's stars. We got to go back to Brett Hull. I think at this point we can call that a drought. Sorry to do this to you, Maggie, if you don't like these Washington Capitals, but they had themselves a night.
And onto the far wing, Wilson turns across. They score! John Carlson on a great feed across from far to near. Beats Anderson. It's 2-0 Washington.
Capitals radio, tough series with the Hurricanes. Caps win 3-1. Tom Wilson actually had the key pass there. He's, we talked about Draymond Green a lot this morning, kind of another irritant on the ice, having a big moment there. The Capitals even that series up at 1 game apiece.
Yeah. I mean, in hockey, too, it always feels so much, not that Draymond stuff isn't serious, because guys can't get hurt, and we know that, but with hockey, you always feel like this, and football, obviously, but the stakes are just so much higher when guys can be reckless and really going after each other.
And next hour, get into some baseball drama in Beantown, and we know Boston, they do baseball drama better than anybody, so I'll catch you up on what's going on with Rafael Devers there.
By the way, I got into a little deep dive. I was looking, do the Jets have any bad character draft picks? And instead, I got into a dive of terrible picks they made.
Yeah, bad picks.
Yeah, taking Ken O'Brien over Dan Marino was one. But there's one I didn't know. I consider myself an NFL draft history fan. In 1988, they took a man named Dave Cadigan 2 picks before Michael Irvin. Who is Dave Cadigan? I've never heard that name in my entire life.
Well, the big one was they passed on Sapp.
Well, I mean, the big one was they passed on Marino.
Well, of course.
There's many big
During
ones.
the
with
draft,
Jets.
they had a highlight video they would play every year of all the Jets' terrible draft picks.
Yeah. Kyle Brady was a big one, too,
that they
right?
had ready to queue up and go.
They took Kyle Brady right before,
Sapp.
Sapp.
That was a Sapp.
Oh, Sapp.
Yeah. Everyone's chanting, "We want Sapp, we want
Yeah.
Sapp," and then comes out Tom Brady.
Dave Cadigan was picked right before Randall McDaniel and Michael Irvin were the next 2 picks. He was, number 8 overall. Oh, my God.
My CTE acting up.
Yeah.
I mean, they took who'd they take in the Mahomes draft? Jamal Adams.
Jamal Adams.
The Vernon Gholston pick was a fun one, too. I remember they took that linebacker out of Ohio State who...
Yeah, Darren Lee.
Darren Lee. Oh, God, was that a bad pick?
Well,
Sorry.
Tell me about it.
All good guys, though.
Good character.
There you go.
Sterling character and never got second contracts with the Jets.
Moral high ground.
See, they're a perfect example of why you do draft the whatever Jason Light said.
Yeah, so that's the word I didn't want to say. The chat is asking me. I can't say the full word. As a woman, can I say that word? I feel it's weird to me.
Yeah, bro, go ahead.
Yeah.
Bra. Not your bra, May.
Why not? I feel like, I don't know. I feel like I've seen women say that all the time.
I would say it privately, but I don't know if I want to be saying that publicly because Manny's going to cut it, and then all of a sudden it's going to be a drop from now to the end of time.
Wait,
that's a totally different calculus.
Dirty word?
Yeah. I just feel like it's more of a thing guys say. Like, I don't sit around with my girlfriends who are like, oh, man, what a bag.
Really?
I don't think so.
I'm not going to lie. I don't think this word is really in our vernacular anymore.
Think so?
Oh,
Is
totally.
it phased out?
No, I don't think. I haven't used that word in decades.
Mm.
That's
Decades.
definitely like a college maybe for me, which is
I
like
need to know the
that's
word
now
now.
15 years ago.
It rhymes with schmoosh schmag.
That's a good word.
Like that word.
What a schmoosh schmag. Sheesh. 888-710-4ISN. Thank you, Pete. Lots more to do, including who ordered the code red on Pickens out of Pittsburgh. Give you a couple guesses next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. 3 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie Perloff Show on this Friday. So happy to have you. So as George Pickens was meeting some of the media in Dallas, Pearl, we are getting some more insights into, obviously, all the things that went wrong with George Pickens in Pittsburgh. And so much of it is public record. You know, when your coach comes out and says, you've got to grow up, you know, that doesn't leave a lot to the imagination. But it did come out that Mike Tomlin was the one who wanted Pickens gone. They're kind of making this seem like it was, you know, the coach over the GM who was making the decision. I don't know if maybe they could have been in lockstep on this one.
It did seem like from Pittsburgh's side there was a lot of controversy. Like,
there was.
There was. I don't think anybody seemed to want to hold on to George Pickens. The day they traded for DK Metcalf, who was so similar to George Pickens, body type, style of play, it just seemed like everybody had decided. So I'm assuming the GM was on it. with him, right? Like and also Tomlin's so well established, the longest tenured coach.
Yeah, I think he calls a lot of the shots there personally. But here's the other part where, George Pickens says yesterday in Dallas, it's a business and that's how he looks at it. For Pittsburgh, this had to be a business decision. You're not gonna, from what George Pickens showed you, or what he didn't show you, was nearly enough professionalism. There's no way you're handing that guy a huge contract. Like, you'd be stupid to.
Right.
He has not, proven that he'd be able to handle himself. So you're not going to pay him, and you don't want him just to play out this year, right? You want to try to get something for him.
Right. But, I think the issue was if he played out this year with that contract looming, he would be particularly unhappy with the play calling and be calling for the ball. Now, the funny thing is, so they got a third-round pick. They probably would have gotten a third or fourth-round comp pick if he had left via free agency, but they wanted to move that pick up. I honestly think they didn't want the headache of him being there this year, because he'd be so upset about his contract. Maybe he'd hold out.
Yep.
Maybe he'd yell at the quarterback. They're trying to, look at their quarterbacks. Their quarterbacks, we don't know if Rodgers will be there. Could be Mason Rudolph. They're a bit shaky right now. So I think it makes total sense for Pittsburgh to not have this guy there. And Metcalf does the same thing. Like, they don't need two DK Metcalfs. I think they need a complement to DK Metcalf, a guy who's going to be a possession receiver, get a lot of first downs for Rodgers or for whoever the quarterback is.
888-710-4ISN. You do wonder, though, like, what is this Pittsburgh offense going to look like? Because we're all waiting for Aaron Rodgers. Now, the theory is that Rodgers was waiting till after the schedule is released on Tuesday to try to oopsie-doop the league into not having as many primetime games.
You were flabbergasted by that yesterday, and you've had 24 hours to think about it. I know you have thought about it. Where do you stand now on the Aaron Rodgers waiting till the schedule release?
It's dumber today than it was yesterday. Because actually someone made a great point to me in the comments of that video, which is with flex scheduling, you can actually get flexed into primetime now so much more easy. So Rodgers is not exactly playing 3D chess here about hoping that he gets more 1 o'clock Eastern
He's trying to get Christmas off. And by the way, Steelers were on Christmas last year anyway.
Yeah, so they're not going to have it this year. Let's go to Michael, who is in Texas. We were talking about where do you draw the line as a fan with both athletes, artists, actors, musicians, when they do things that show bad character, and do you continue to watch them, root for them, go to their movies, buy their albums? Michael, what do you have?
I was wondering about Josh Allen when he said the N-word in college.
Yep.
He sounded real hateful when he said it, but y'all still support him? I'm white. I was just wondering.
Yeah, so when Josh Allen was drafted, I hate to say check the receipts, but you can go back. I was very critical of him. I wasn't sure who – these were tweets that surfaced right before the draft, like hours before. And I actually did an interview with people called the Seven Line. People know them here. They're actually like a Mets fan podcast, and they know me as a Bills fan. They asked me, and I said I was very disturbed by the tweets. So I was on record at that point of saying – you cannot ever endorse anything he was saying. He said he was young and dumb, stupid. Some of it was rap lyrics, I think, he was quoting, which is just ridiculous. Have you heard a peep since? Right? So this is what I'm saying about the living your apology thing, right? I've never heard another thing since. Some guys don't take accountability and they keep doing things over and over and over again. Tyreek Hill is that guy. It's everywhere he goes, there's something. College, Kansas City, Miami, there's always something that comes up that's unsavory. Listen, I don't know what's in Josh Allen's heart, but ever since that, and he owned it and said he was young and stupid, and we've never heard anything like that since.
I know one of you guys' favorite players, Dante DiVincenzo, had the same exact issue.
Oh, right. He had a tweet thing too, right?
And there's with that word, there is an issue overall just about usage and understanding of the history behind it and why some people shouldn't say it. And, growing up as a younger person, I think there's folks who aren't as educated on that. And that's important for black folks and all folks to kind of make people understand that. So you see there are a lot of players in both NBA, NFL, baseball who have these older tweets where they're using the N-word. And I think you made a good point, Maggie. It's who are you after that, right? That's a huge deal. Like a Tyreek Hill or Kanye or Chris Brown. These are people who keep having issues, getting into trouble. It seems like they're not learning from their lessons with these issues. You haven't heard a peep from, again, Josh Allen, Michael Vick, some of these guys who have had issues earlier in their careers, or even go back to guys who have, alcohol drug problems, right? Like Chris Carter, who they talk about living in a different life. Like, there's a way to move forward past your early mistakes. That's what people want to see, I think.
Yeah.
I hate to, but again, I do wonder because you guys have both said, well, if the player is really, really good, like that, shouldn't that not factor into it? The fact that Josh Allen's awesome, does that help?
Well, to me, no, it's about the fact that you've never heard anything since from him. Because I said Von Miller at one point was really, really good. I did not want him on the team.
Yeah, it's just it's tricky. I don't think it's ever, not ever, but it's rarely black and white.
Everyone's got to make the personal decision for themselves, right? I have no doubt.
But sometimes I think even people with strong borders, if the guy's good enough, they can overlook stuff, which is kind of weird.
Everyone's personal preference. 888-710-4ISN. Coming up, someone is taking accountability. I'll tell you who next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. 45 seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
And with it right side, picked up by Jackson Davis, beats him off the dribble. Rises up in the lane, finger roll at the rim. He got it. That's 20 for Anthony Edwards.
That is Timberwolves radio. They evened the series 1 game apiece, and Edwards had a fine, okay game. He was playing on an injured ankle, though, Perloff, which he actually injured first in the series against the Lakers. He has just not been great scoring the basketball in these last 2 games. Not like anything we're used to with a guy who hit more threes than anyone in the league this year. He's missing short. He's missing long. He's missing all over the place. But the T-Wolves did get the win last night.
Yeah, he clearly does not have the explosiveness off that ankle ever since LeBron fell out. Then somebody stepped on it last night. It bent the wrong way again. I was surprised. Actually, I was surprised they brought him back in. I thought they were going to let him rest. He looked pretty good, but he gets near the hole and he can't finish. The three-point shot was better last night. In fact, the whole team was better last night because they were headed in a disastrous path there. All their good three-point shooters were cold. Yeah, I'm a little worried about him. I think they need him at 100% to be a real contender. I'm talking about to try and win it all.
Yeah, sure. I mean, yeah, of course, definitely. But what I was most disappointed by from the Warriors side of things is that, you have no Steph Curry in this game, and you're not going to have him for the next week because he's dealing with a hamstring injury. Apparently, this is the first time he's had a hamstring injury, which is odd to me. So he's still figuring out how his body is going to react and adjust, and there's a lot of unknown with Curry. But you do have Jimmy Butler, right? You just traded for a guy who we've seen is capable of not just carrying a team for a game, is capable of carrying a team for a series. And it wasn't all that long ago that he led the Heat to the finals against the Denver Nuggets. Jimmy Butler did not have that juice last night. And when you see Anthony Edwards turn an ankle in the first half, you've been playing badly, but, leads evaporate very quickly in this NBA. And I get that the Warriors played 15 guys last night or 14 guys. They needed to try to find their rotation, so it was a little bit of a filling out process. But forgive me if I wanted to see Jimmy Butler step out of the Robin role, which he's been saying he's Robin to Curry's Batman, and put on the cape and try to steal a win when Anthony Edwards was clearly compromised.
Okay, so the Minnesota Timberwolves just whooped Luka Doncic and LeBron James. And a 35-year-old Jimmy Butler is going to beat this long, tall defensive team on his own with a bunch of G League guys around him. That's asking a lot.
Well, it's not. I mean, here he's got Draymond Green, future Hall of Famer, is on the court with him.
Come on. Yeah, he's Draymond, though. He's not going to score for you.
Okay, that's fair. I mean, Hield had been good until last night.
Yeah, I mean, that's a tall task. You need Curry and Jimmy Butler. And again, I think the Warriors took game 2 off, which often happens in long series. They're on the road. They won game 1. Their star player got hurt. They clearly were. That happens in playoff series. It doesn't mean to me, it doesn't mean anything. I'm willing to overlook it. You think they should have brought their A game last night?
Well, I think that when Edwards turns the ankle and has to leave the game, now granted, he did come back. I think it just changes the calculus. Like, oh my gosh, now the door just got blown open because, you and I both don't think much of Julius Randle in terms of playoffs. He has played very well, though, so far in this postseason, so want to give him credit. You're one of the big Rudy Gobert haters that exists in the media. You're not a fan of his game.
Well,
he got hit in the eye last night.
Shaq is the ultimate Rudy Gobert hater.
Shaq,
right?
Draymond. I mean, everyone dunks on Rudy Gobert.
If you want to.
Not physically, but you know what I'm saying.
Actually, even physically.
Kuminga did last night, right? Wasn't somebody dunked on him last night?
Draymond blew by him like he was Draymond, who's 100, made Rudy Gobert look like a statue.
Exactly.
Anyway.
So I'm just saying that, it's not like you're going up against the 98 Bulls here.
Well, listen,
but
they made a run. They definitely, after Edwards got hurt, it didn't look like a blowout to start the game. But the score in the first quarter, the end of the first quarter was 29-15, and that was after a little Golden State run. They showed some life. But I think Kerr is sort of trying to figure out life without Steph Curry. You got to remember, guys are out of position. This is going to take a day or two to figure out what life is like without Steph Curry. All I'm saying is judge them in Game 3. You're going home. Judge this whole team in Game 3 after they get to look at some tape and figure out how are we going to attack this team without Steph Curry. And also, don't discount the T-Wolves. They're very good defensively. So Jimmy would have had to go up against a lot of good guys. He was not scoring 35 last night to lead the Warriors.
888-710-4ISN. If you want to weigh in on Golden State, is it possible for the Dubs to hang with Minnesota without Steph Curry? Okay, flipping over to the other series, still unpacking the Celtics, who are down 0-2, the defending champs. Jason Tatum, who did not speak to the media after the Game 2 loss because somebody pulled the fire alarm. Aura went off, but there was no fire. Thankfully.
I'm sure Jason Tatum was on the case of who pulled that fire alarm, right?
Yeah. Does he have an alter ego?
We're all trying to find the guy who did this.
Yeah, I know. The real guy. The real criminals. No, somebody pulled the fire alarm. Tatum couldn't do media. So he says yesterday he is taking all the blame for the team struggling.
I take full ownership on the way that I've played in this series. And, can't sugarcoat anything. I need to be better. And, I expect to be a lot better.
Okay, more from Tatum. Says the team has to do the things that got them to where they are.
We have a way that we play. We have an identity, and it can't waver just because, we missing shots. We can't change who we are. And, I always say you got to be the same person when things are going well and when things aren't going well.
Yeah, that sounds really good, and I agree with him on that, but there is also something about making adjustments in a series. They got criticized, Pearl, for Game 1 shooting 15 of 60 from 3. 15 of 60. They shot 10 for 40 in Game 2. It's another thing to, you want to go down with the ship or you don't want to change your identity, but it's another in a long series, where the NBA playoffs is all about coaches making adjustments and players making adjustments, and they didn't make any.
No, they definitely didn't. 40 is less than 60, so
sure. Okay,
that's
sorry.
Good. There are, actually, I do think they took a little bit less three-pointers, but at the end of the game, the Knicks were daring them to shoot three-pointers, and some of them were wide open, and they couldn't hit them. They're in their head when it comes to three-pointers. Yeah, I think you make a great point. They have to adjust. They have to take the ball to the rack every time, draw fouls. I just don't know if Jaylen Brown has the legs to do that right now, but and I say I hope. Yeah, I'm openly rooting for the Celtics. I can't handle these guys and their Knicks fans.
Boo this man.
But what's so funny to me,
It's
Maggie?
convenient that Bogish has been out for the last 3 days when the Knicks keep winning. I told him, I'm like, we're all sick to our stomach about the Knicks wins. It's cool. He's actually sick.
I heard some confidence in Tatum's voice, and the betting markets are still on the Celtics. They're minus 120 to win the series, and not only that, they're second overall on futures to win the whole thing. They're favorites to win the East. So it's hard to figure the series out. I do think the perception is, and I think the expectation is, that the Celtics figure this out.
The series is over, and I didn't think that yesterday.
Wait, which series?
The Knicks-Celtics series.
Oh!
And I didn't think that yesterday.
Oh!
But we got some new information globally that now makes me think that the Knicks really are destined for amazing things. Because yesterday, the world got a new pope. The white smoke. Manny was texting the group chat, guys, white smoke, white smoke. Like, okay.
I was on that. I was watching Univision, and I literally saw the black smoke go into white. It was wild.
Amazing. As we all know, Robert Francis Cardinal Prevost, a.k.a. Chicago
Bobby,
is the new head of the Roman Catholic Church and the first American to ever be named Pope.
How about that?
Look at that.
The Americas. Pope Francis was the first one from the Americas. So how about the Western Hemisphere? 2 in a row, back to back, like Jordan.
Sure.
They wrote us off. We didn't write back, though.
Yes. All of that.
Chicago Bob was there for the Jordan run.
He was. I didn't realize it was so competitive about where the Pope's from, but yeah, I'll follow that. So the Pope is from Chicago, but he attended Villanova University from your beloved hometown, Philadelphia, PA.
Yep.
And obviously where the Nova Knicks had all this success.
Who needs Brunson?
Is there any doubt?
So the Nova thing is what?
Yes. The Nova connection, Villanova.
I assume he's a Bulls fan or was a Bulls
fan.
fan.
Diehard Chicago White Sox. Now, I hope he hasn't been praying for miracles for the White Sox, because then I'd question the efficacy. Oof. However, I mean, this guy's a diehard Chicago sports fan, which we can all get behind. And he went to Villanova, so I'm assuming he's got to be a Hoops fan. This is a good omen, dudes.
I think so. I mean, you take a look. You take a look at the what happened with the way that the Knicks have been playing. And now you get the Villanova guy.
Yeah.
Oh God.
I mean,
these were miracles these last 2 games. So.
It makes a lot more sense now, does it not?
I mean, does this help DiVincenzo on the Timberwolves? Maybe we'll get
no, that doesn't.
Timberwolves Knicks finals.
That's not how it works.
Not out of the picture.
It's not out of the picture.
They could all play. They could all be there.
I could see it.
Oh, do we get a Timberwolves now Knicks final? And then who does the Pope
Then they
root
really
for?
redo the commercial where the 3 Nova guys are coming down the hallway and Dante DiVincenzo's there. That would be something, and bring Pope Leo in.
And just put Leo in right there. Well, we actually have a little bit of Pope Leo, Chicago Bob, not to be disrespectful, but the guy is a huge sports fan, saying a little prayer.
So let's all join in the Thanksgiving prayer.
The prayer.
We thank Ditka and God for all they have provided, for the food we eat, the air we breathe, and for the domination enjoyed by a certain team from a certain town that starts with a C.
Hey, the game's starting.
All right. We'll get back to that during a commercial. Enjoy the games, folks.
I can't wait. Is the Pope going to throw out a first pitch, maybe?
I wasn't in on this bit, by the way. I just want to make that clear.
The super fans, any excuse to play them from Saturday
I love
Live.
the super fans. I don't know. I have no idea how this will be received. Perloff was not in on this.
Is there
planning.
any chance that Chicago Bob has done the 999 challenge at a Chicago White Sox game? 9 beers, 9 hot dogs, 9 innings.
Oh, we can only hope. I think he was busy. Apparently, he, has lived in Peru for a long time. So I don't know how many White Sox games he's been to lately. Did you guys also see there was an interview with his brother he said he was helping him pick the name? That apparently a neighbor told them when he was in first grade, he's going to be the Pope.
Lying, bro. What do you get out of
That's
lying?
That's a LeBron James level lie.
Didn't this happen with Abdul Carter? Didn't he say he had a dream when he was 12 that he was going to play for the Giants?
Exactly.
We love to lie in today's society.
I mean, why would anyone lie about that? It's such a crazy thing to say about how old are you in first grade? Like a 7-year-old?
7 years old? Why would you think a 7-year-old is going to be the next Pope?
I don't know.
Can you imagine in 2 years you look at your boy and you're like, yeah, you're going to be the Pope in 2 years, or you're going to be the Pope in your future?
I don't know. Maybe he just saw something in him. Clearly, I mean, the guy's obviously he's got an incredible aura.
How do you look at a 7-year-old and think you're going to be the Pope? You look at a 7-year-old and you think he's going to be the next shortstop for the Chicago Cubs or something.
I don't know. I picked up my kid from school yesterday and his
like
pants were on backwards. Because we don't want to help him get dressed, because he's got to learn how to do this stuff on his own.
I'm just so happy that it's called a LeBron James level lie. Meaning completely harmless and
7
random.
years old. Imagine, that's like Brian Kelly giving out, scholarships to 6th graders. This is crazier.
Yeah.
Well, symbolic, yeah. I just love that also he's now Pope Leo the 14th, and he picked Pope Leo the 14th.
Give your theory. Give your theory.
Do you have a theory about this?
Go ahead.
The 14 is obviously the number of Leos, right? I don't think you get to just pick the number out of anywhere.
I'd assume so.
I don't know too much about this, so I don't want to sound like a fool, but I would imagine there's with 13 other Leos, I guess.
Probably, yeah.
I don't know, but if you could pick the number.
It's not like a quarterback number where they give out a jersey.
Well, that's what I'm saying. 14 Chicago White Sox Do I have to connect the dots for you guys? Paul
Yes.
Konerko.
Oh.
Konerko.
No, right.
World Series champ.
No, I see the number 14 and I immediately think, oh, Konerko.
He does. I mean,
Maggie was so excited about this morning. And it was
I'm like, one of us. I mean, think about it, right?
No,
if you were
this,
the Pope,
can I recount the decision? She's like, Pope Leo the 14th. Pretty obvious what's going on there, right? I'm like, no, what do you mean? White Sox fan. I'm like, okay, yeah. And you're like, White Sox,
Paul
14,
Konerko.
Paul Konerko.
easy to report, Clemente Award winner. Good guy. I don't know.
Would have been drafted high.
It would not have been drafted. Yeah, good character guy, I think. Won the Clemente Award. I mean, that's got to be a good sign.
Yeah, sorry. I just didn't connect those dots immediately.
I mean, well, you got to look a little deeper, the symbolism.
How far down do you have to go in Chicago sports icons to get to Paul Konerko?
Could he have been Leo 23? Everyone would have been like, clearly it's Jordan.
Jordan 23 would have been better.
Imagine Pope Jordan.
I feel kind of dumb. Did everyone know Paul Konerko was 14? I didn't know that off the top
If
of my
you're a
head.
White Sox fan,
I didn't know off the top of my head.
I mean, now that she says it, yeah, but I mean, I'm
remembered,
not thinking about Paul Konerko. I haven't thought about Paul Konerko in 2 decades.
well, the White Sox haven't exactly been what you call relevant.
Yeah, they won 2 decades ago in 05.
Wow, that sucks. Well, but the Pope, there's video or photos of him at a White Sox game. So maybe he has done the 999. I don't know.
If he has,
doesn't feel like he would have.
If he has had the 999, then his powers do bring the Knicks a title. Best Pope we've ever had.
By the way, this is kind of. I'm looking at the Cubs in a weird way now.
Why is that?
First black president, White Sox fan. First American Pope, White Sox fan. Maybe you're a little brother. Just saying.
You think the Cubs are the little brother?
I mean, all the historic, most famous people in our entire society, they from Chicago.
Right.
And
why do they keep picking the White Sox?
They never say I'm a Cubs fan.
Yeah,
now,
no,
I know
you're totally right.
Michael
Because
Wilbons and your Bill Murrays and those folks.
Your Carlos Ortiz's, sure.
But I'm talking about like these people are really like deciding people's lives and making big decisions. Popes and presidents, they're not picking the Cubs.
No, totally. You're right. Like the Cubs are not iconic at all. That baseball town is all about the White. The White Sox are less relevant than the Brooklyn Nets are in New York.
You just dissed the entire South Side.
I mean, come on, the Cubs are so famous.
Perloff wanted to back off of the Pope stuff. I'm backing off of South Side Chicago.
Oh,
I want
come
no beef with anybody from the South Side.
I'm good, South Side.
I mean,
Get
EJ
outta
already
here.
tempted Detroit, the entire city, as if that wasn't
Yeah,
going to
I'm like Malcolm X with
come
looking
back to
in
bite
the
you.
window.
I wouldn't do that. No, I'm not.
Out of here, Detroit.
There's no way that I'm going to disparage the Pope's favorite team.
Yeah, but look at the real estate around Wrigley Field. Like, that is the hottest place in America right now. Not wherever the White Sox. And my wife's from, by the way, from the south side of Chicago.
Yeah.
And no,
Guaranteed rate field, by the way.
Yeah. It is not. What is it called?
Guaranteed rate field.
Wild name.
Yeah, it's not
Maybe
like.
the Pope could do something about that.
Yeah.
Pontiff Field?
That'd be really cool if it was like a Catholic name for a stadium. Like that's like a high school football thing. Like imagine if it was like
Pope Leo the 14th field.
Yeah.
I mean, they got the money.
So your theory was that he picked Leo because he knew that he'd be the 14th Leo.
Mm-hmm.
The 13th Leo died in 1903, by the way, doing a little research here. Why wouldn't he have picked a name that was relevant directly to Chicago sports? Are you allowed to pick any name? Could he have been Pope MJ or something? Or
Yeah, I mean, I think it would have been a little on the nose to be like Pope Ditka, but
Yeah.
I mean, Pope Leo.
Pope Sammy for Sammy's other side. Oh, no, he's a White Sox.
Controversial. He's a Cubs guy.
Ozzie Guillen, Pope Ozzie.
Pope Ozzie. I think that, I think having 14, maybe he didn't, it wasn't on top of mind, but maybe it just kind of fit. Like, and Paul Konerko's number.
Yeah, it seems like a stretch.
Well, to you. Sean's in Oregon. What's up, Sean? That's your opinion. Sean, what do you got, sir?
Hey, you guys, the Pope isn't going back to Chicago. He's the Pope now.
Why? He can't go to Chicago and wave from the Pope Mobile? He does that?
I don't think he's going to escape and crawl out the window and go home for a couple days, you guys.
Because I said he'd throw out the first pitch of the game? No, I'm saying as like an official, on official Pope business.
Yeah, I don't think there'll be official Pope business in Chicago.
Why not?
Yeah.
Plenty of good Catholics in Chicago.
Yeah, well, I mean, that they probably just don't do that. They'd go, if it was official Pope business, the Catholics would go to Rome.
Wait, didn't the Pope go to Philly?
Yeah, I covered that when I was here.
Pope
For New York one.
Wasn't the Pope at Yankee Stadium?
Yeah,
as
he
well?
was here. I don't know if he was at Yankee Stadium, but he definitely was in the
John
Bronx.
Paul II was definitely here.
I mean, if the
I'll be
Pope's going to
surprised.
Philly, the Pope can go to Chicago.
Yeah,
I'll
Pope
be
Francis
surprised,
did a
guys.
tour. My first year at New York one, he did a tour of the Northeast.
Yeah, I remember when he came to New York.
Yeah, he was in New York and Philly. He might have been a third city. I don't remember what it was, but
Listen, I'm not putting it past him. Sean, the guy's a big sports fan.
Yeah.
We'll see. I don't think it happens, you guys. We'll put a bet on it. You guys like to do these bets. I'll put a bet on it. He don't come to Chicago.
I mean, he could be Pope for like 20 years, dude.
He could be, but he won't.
Sean, you seem like you're pretty set in your ways on this one. You don't think that the Pope would go to a Bears game? Why not? Like Caleb Williams now.
Not a Bears game. Maybe that might be a bit much. I mean, because you have to do a lot of protection around the Pope.
Yeah, go to a White Sox game. Nobody's going to be there.
Gosh.
When you say no, seriously.
A couple people might show up if they know the Pope's there.
Yeah, I don't think the Pope can go to a Bears game.
I mean, the president goes to a Bears game. It can go to a football game. I mean, didn't Trump go to the national championship game?
Well, I felt like, and listen, Philadelphia has this famous Pope visit from back, and they built the whole city around having Pope John Paul II, right? The most famous Pope came to Philly, and it was like a historic moment. I think it's hard to get the Pope around. Like, I don't think he can go and SeatGeek and just show up at a Bears game.
Secondary market?
Yeah. I just think it's more complicated than that.
You think the Pope flies the Pope plane to get across the?
Well, he's got to fly
so
private.
he's a massive soccer fan. Do popes ever go to soccer games? Because a lot of them are big soccer fans. I wonder.
Man,
I think it's hard. I think there's a lot of security concerns.
I am pretty sure Pope Francis met Lionel Messi after Argentina won the World Cup, since they're both from Argentina.
But did he go to the game though?
No,
probably
no,
not.
Probably not. No. In Qatar? Yeah, no.
Can you imagine if you're sitting in a game in like the bleachers and all of a sudden the Pope sits next to you?
It's actually one of the great scenes from the movie The Naked Gun is when Queen Elizabeth goes to the Angels game and they're passing hot dogs to the crowd and she's got to pass the beer and pass the hot dog.
I'm actually shocked when Trump goes to so many games because
and NASCAR races.
Yeah, there's a lot of work to be done there. He seems to go to more games than any president I remember. I mean, Obama, Clinton, they went to games too.
Yeah, basketball games. No, you need a lot of security, so you wonder, is this like the best thing to be doing for the rest of the fans in attendance?
Yeah.
You know, to kind of make it a target.
And also UFC, Trump was at the fight last week. Was it last week or 2 weeks ago?
A couple weeks ago.
Yeah. But yeah, the Pope, I think is different, Mag. I think Sean is actually onto something. I think it's hard for him to travel easily.
I get it, but I mean, I don't know. Guy's a Chicago sports fan. You could have the Bears could be a playoff
Opening
team
day.
this year, guys. They could have their generational quarterback. You don't think that Pope Leo the 14th, who may or may not have picked 14 because of Paul Konerko, you don't think he wants to see Caleb Williams up close?
Yeah.
It's going to be wild card weekend. It's going to be the Bears taking on
Saints or somebody.
Yeah, I was about to say.
NFL Network game.
I'm sorry, the 10-7 Bears is not
It's gonna
exactly
be
a
a
reason
Saturday
to fire
1
up the
o'clock game.
Pope-mobile.
Pope Leo's going to be a guest commentator on the Nickelodeon broadcast.
Can't slime. Can't do it. Wouldn't be right. 888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476. Have a little respect.
I'm sorry to wrap my head around the visual of the Pope calling for the green slime dump.
I mean, he's got to have a sense of humor, right? He's a Chicago White Sox fan.
No.
What else is getting you through that?
Has the Pope watched SpongeBob?
I'm sure he's generally aware of it. 888-710-4ISN. Okay, real sports to get to for you on this Friday, including what does $315 million buy you anymore these days? Get to that next.
You're in a 5-minute break.
Boogers came home, kids were throwing a fit, dropping F-bombs, talking real slick. He's scratching his head, where'd they learn all this? Must be the TV, but something's...
Amy Lawrence in her power, but wait, hold up, no seat in sight. Her chair is gone this quiet night. Odyssey's finest, infinity's pride. Now Amy's pacing, no place to slide. She scans the room, but it's just air. The burning question, who took my chair? Ooh, who stole Amy's chair? Was it Zach Jones with his innocent stare? Or Ryan Hickey with his towering hair? It's not people lying, he's never there. Somebody fess up, who stole Amy's chair? Zach says, hey, I didn't steal, I never mess with Amy's wheels. Ryan's hair is high and proud, but he swears he's innocent, yelling out loud, I got no motive, I'm just tall. His hair almost scrapes. Late night vibes hitting up. Andrew Perloff loves his turtle, call it chill shot bliss. He feeds it kale and lettuce, then gives it a little kiss. Andrew Bogus's turtles got a mansion in the tank, with a slide, a tiny hammock, and a treasure chest bank. Two-tone Tony rolls in, his turtles got swag, cruising slow but steady, repping that reptile flag. Meanwhile Kevin LaMelle's got tacos on his plate, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, he's got no time to wait. Turtle love, taco dreams, Andrew and Andrew living supreme. Two-ton Tony, slow and steady crew, Kevin's got breakfast tacos, what's Peter gonna do? Yo, Perloff's turtles chillin', basking in the heat. Bokus's turtles flexing, got gold chains on its feet. Tony's turtles on TikTok, racking up views, while Kevin's tacos sizzle, serving up the news. But Bilatti's MIA, not a damn thing new. Work? Nah, he'd rather just hit snooze. We're out here hustling.
One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome to the wide-ranging Maggie and Perloff show. We've had very deep, interesting debate about character in sports. And then we've gotten into Maggie's conspiracy theory about why the Pope picked his name because of Paul Konerko.
Well, Leo the 14th, 14. Pope's a White Sox fan. Paul Konerko, legendary White Sox. Pete McCarthy knows what I'm talking about. Pete's a huge baseball guy. I actually wanted to run this by McCarthy, who's with us today. He's in for Andrew Bogish. Because, listen, I don't know much about, Popes picking names. Obviously, it was Leo the 13th was the last one, so now it's 14. But Konerko's not a bad choice if you're a White Sox fan, right, Pete?
Absolutely, 1,000%. I didn't put it together until you said it, and now there's really no other explanation.
Thank you. It all's lining up, know. And we said that this is a good omen for the Knicks fans in the building because the Pope went to the new Pope, graduated from Villanova University, Nova Knicks. I mean, Guys, the
He's going to
storylines
be there.
write
He's
themselves.
going to be there Saturday, Game 3 at the Garden.
The get-in price is pretty steep, but I think the Pope can cover
right
it.
next to Jimmy Dolan.
Yeah, I don't know.
You
if
might want to say a couple prayers for that guy.
Does the Pope make the cut on Celebrity Row now? I mean, that's gonna be. I noticed, by the way, you notice who's not at Madison Square Garden? Andrew Perloff and EJ. We get to go to a mid-season Wizards game through our connections. This playoff ticket is rough.
How funny would it be? And it's from Entourage, Jerry Ferrara, and it's also Matthew Modine and Pope Leo the 13th, also on Celebrity.
Well, I wonder if Modine even makes a cut anymore. They're gonna have it's gonna be Chalamet and
Tracy Morgan.
The A-listers are coming. No, the old guys will be there, but I think they're gonna have huge celebrities there. Including, it's going to be crazy.
But you gotta let the OG people, the Lakers do this. Obviously, Jack Nicholson and Diane Cannon and all the people who, Billy Crystal for the Clippers. The people who support you all season have to still get preferential treatment for the playoffs.
Okay, yeah, no, they'll get in the building, but when they do, and I don't know if they always do this on TV, when they do the runaround of celebrities, I'll bet you we'll see more A-listers than we've ever seen. It's games. When is the game?
It's Saturday.
Saturday, 3:30.
Mm-hmm. Met Gala was just in town.
Yeah, I'll bet you that there's going to be
Sydney Sweeney, I bet will be there. Want to make a bet on that?
Rihanna, I know she's pregnant. I don't know. We're going to have some big A-listers. It's not going to be like a mid-February game where they show
the star of Blue Bloods.
Yeah,
the alumni list is going to be girthy.
Yeah. Oh, also, that's the other thing. You got Marbury and Starks and Latrell.
Definitely going to be there.
Has Sprewell been here yet this postseason?
No, but he's on Twitter now, which is cool.
Yeah, Spree could show up.
J.R. Smith showed some emotion on Instagram yesterday. When it
I was wondering about
Smith
that one.
would be there. Earl Smith, my goat.
J.R. Smith?
Not a Knicks legend.
Yeah, what is that about?
The Knicks alumni. The Knicks do a good job. There's alumni, and then there's legend.
People think that the Knicks fan base
vision.
is very discerning. I swear, before I was banned from the building, I witnessed a standing ovation for Steve Novacek. Novak, sorry, Novacek.
Oh, yeah.
I was thinking that's the Cowboys' former tight
Jay
end.
Novacek.
Jay
Well,
Novacek.
Look literally on the jersey, there's ingrained once a
Once
Knick, always a Knick.
baby.
The fans, the franchise lives by that.
There's a funny
Unless
thing.
you're Oakley, then you're banned.
Maggie, have you been following our former boss, Spike Eskin, is now a Philadelphia radio host for WIP. He's trying to warn everybody in Philadelphia who's rooting against the Celtics. He's saying, stop rooting against the Celtics. You do not want the Knicks to win because the Knicks will be way more obnoxious because he worked here and he knows the truth.
Yourselves?
Well, I mean, the Celtics
Philadelphia calling New York obnoxious, a little pot meat kettle.
but they're rooting for the Knicks because they hate Al Horford so much, partly.
Yeah, and the 80s rivalries.
Yeah, like the Celtics were their rival.
Bird.
But I think a lot of people are ignorant to the fact of how obnoxious Knicks fans will be and how obnoxious this whole thing will be if they win the title. A-list celebrities who everybody hates, it's going to be ridiculous.
Who everybody hates.
Oh, yeah.
Nobody hates Spike Lee.
God forbid that these people let loose after 30 years of ineptitude.
I'm told Pete McCarthy has a story for us that we have to hear. Pete, what do you got for us?
Yeah, I got a couple pieces of breaking news for you this morning. One, sources tell Pablo Torre that Bill Belichick's girlfriend, Jordan Hudson, is now banned from UNC's football facility.
Whoa!
One Belichick family
Wait a
source adds that, quote, there is deep worry for how detrimental Jordan could be, not just for North Carolina, but Bill's legacy, reputation, everything he has built and worked for over the decades. Again, that's a Belichick family source. Pablo Torre apparently did a deep dive on his podcast. Pablo Torre finds out, but Hudson banned from UNC's football facility.
Wow. All right, we just lost Maggie for the show here.
I'm
Move
deep
over,
in
Paul
a Google
Konerko.
rabbit hole. The moment you said it. Wait a minute.
So this had happened. This obviously isn't necessarily just breaking news. It didn't just happen. This happened before when Pablo Torre finds out, meaning that it was all. Has she been banned for days or weeks?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I haven't been able to listen to the podcast, but apparently he has, 10 sources or so, multiple sources from what's going on in there. It's, a whole podcast investigation into what that dynamic is. But the big piece that they put out on X on social media is that Hudson is now banned from the football facility at UNC.
Guys, do you understand the Miss Maine competition is this weekend? Could be a disaster for Jordan.
Wow.
I mean, clearly this is all, building for her to become Miss USA, right?
Well, now we know the question she'll have to answer. Part of the pageant competition.
Yeah, what's UNC's defense? What are they going to run this year? How much nickel are they going to run? This is crazy. Here's why it's crazy. It was crazy that Bill put Jordan Hudson in these roles that seemed to be pretty official, considering what a control freak he is, and the fact that she has like little to no experience with any of this stuff and how big of a disaster it was. I'm almost equally surprised, Perloff, that Belichick would acquiesce, that he would cave. If this was indeed family or people around him saying, Bill, it's bad for you, it's bad for your legacy, bad for your rep, can't sell books, whatever it is, I'm surprised that he listened to anybody.
Well, it actually, the way you described the story, maybe the AD did it. Maybe it wasn't Bill.
Who do you think has more power there right now? I mean, Bill bypassed the AD.
I think it might be the president then.
And went right to the board of directors or whatever. It was the Pope.
No, I really
president of the college.
Leo the 14th.
I think maybe the board of directors or the president of the college may have said, "Hey, this is because like we talked about this off air. Like there are some like legit like state laws and concerns about like someone who has not been onboarded, not been officially hired,
vetted through HR.
Yeah, working for a state university. Like that's not like you can't do that. Like there's so much of a process. I work for city universities in New York, so I know there's a process that goes through that. If she's working in an official capacity, which the emails that have been leaked suggest that she is, there could be a legal issue. I'm not saying someone's going to come up and say, I'm going to sue North Carolina, but you do open yourself up to that. So it could have been the board or it could have been the president that said, hey, like this, like if she's not actually going to be hired, then you can't have her working in official capacity.
I mean, you can hire Bobby Petrino, but you can't hire Jordan Hudson? What's going on here?
Well, also, it's weird to be not hired, but then, Pete, you're saying banned. I'm sorry, I'm trying to find the story. Did they tweet it out? Or
Yeah, you have to go to Pablo Torre finds out, and then you have to scroll down a little bit. They retweeted some other stuff and kind of buried it, but you'll find it there, and I basically just read the tweet, so I think I gave you all the info that's out there right now. But just following those breadcrumbs that EJ's laying there, does this lead to the split between North Carolina and Belichick, right? He's got that buyout next month. This has been talked about.
You mean the split before the season?
Contract.
But
who knows? I mean, obviously, look, if North Carolina's president, if the University of North Carolina's president said, hey, Bill, your girlfriend can't be around the program anymore, she's banned from the football facility, wouldn't this be the first step of like a disagreement happening here, a rift between him and potentially the university?
Hold on, though.
Like, what's happening?
It's funny, Pete. I see this a different way. We're talking about this story that's come out from Pablo Torre, who Perloff and I both worked with at Sports Illustrated for a long time. He's a phenomenal reporter, saying that Jordan Hudson, Belichick's girlfriend, is now banned from USC's football facility, and saying the family source says there's a deep worry for how detrimental she can be, not just for North Carolina, but Bill's legacy. I don't know if it's a breakup between Bill and North Carolina. I think it's a breakup between Bill and Jordan. It kind of makes.
Wait, what?
I mean, she's banned from the facility. They're saying that she's detrimental to the legacy. Maybe the family got to him and said, "You got to end this relationship. You're a joke."
Whoa! So you're saying this is a break? Oh my gosh!
There's a lot of different ways this could go down, I guess, right? I mean,
do you think Bill would honestly blow the opportunity at North Carolina? We know he wants to coach. The NFL has said no, thank you. You think he's throwing away his coaching career for Jordan Hudson?
I mean, it's just North
Carolina. He's
Carolina.
throwing away Miss Maine?
Can he not get Miss Delaware? I have no idea.
Yes, I think he would throw away the North Carolina job for Jordan Hudson.
That would be crazy.
I mean,
I'm not saying you're not wrong. I'm saying, but if he did that, I would actually really be concerned about him.
I've got to get rid of this girl. I want to go back into coaching.
I mean, Bill has dedicated 50 years to coaching. You really think that wow? You think she's got that much of a hold?
It's not an SEC school. I mean,
but it could be if he does well. If he does well at North Carolina, the doors open up again. Maybe to the NFL, maybe to the SEC, whatever he wants.
I keep going back to this thing, though, where I feel like, again, and I've been saying this, I feel like there's a reason why no NFL team wanted this guy.
You think I'm going to read
I think that Kraft also muddied the waters there.
I think Kraft knows things about this guy.
Well, I mean, we know things about Kraft.
Oh, sure, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think those are ops, they're real beefs, right? But I think, like, to me, if you're going to say, I'm going to pass up on a football opportunity because I want to stay with my 24-year-old girlfriend, what other school or NFL team is going to look at that and say, that guy looks like a guy who's in his sane mind?
It's over.
You're ready to settle for UNC.
Yeah, right.
You're not going up.
That's why I think he had to win.
Ooh, how about Navy?
Yeah, but now
Are
the
they
Naval
open?
Academy are held to an even higher standard.
They had a bad year last year, right? Maybe he can sneak
They
in
were
there.
good. They were.
Or
They
one
just-
of them
they
was
just got
one of them was
smoked by
down
by
last
Notre
year.
Dame.
Yeah.
No, they both were good. They both just got destroyed by Notre Dame.
Yeah.
They were both like ranked at one point.
Yeah,
we
no,
thought
it was-
we thought it was gonna be Army Navy conference championship. And it
Yay,
didn't
yay,
happen.
military.
Right.
Regretting I said that. I was just trying to make a larger point. Yay, yay, military. Taken out of context, it sounds kind of trite. I didn't mean it like that. Belichick, crazy. Pete, this is a heck of a story here from Pablo Torre. Thank you for bringing it to our attention.
Yeah, we'll find out more about it. Also this morning, Giants number 3 overall pick Abdul Carter has finally picked a number.
Holy smoke.
Called Lawrence Taylor, called Phil Simms, trying to take over historic numbers in the franchise history, but Carter is going to go with number 51.
Yeah,
if
a
you're
center's
curious.
number.
Yeah, if you're curious, the most
Wait.
famous 51 I could find. Zach
Reasons.
Diassi, a 13-year long snapper,
yes,
won
the
2
long
Super Bowls. So
snapper.
I think he's safe there.
Captain, too, with those Super Bowl teams.
It's not nothing.
51 is a nasty number.
That's a center's number, man.
That's nasty, man. I really hope that's not the number he wears.
My guy
during
split the
regular
difference between Lawrence Taylor and Phil Simms' number and got 51. Oh, dude.
No, but this is now he makes his mark. He becomes the legendary 51.
Oh, yeah, 51.
Manny, you're a big Yankee fan. You like Judge's 99?
I'm a big fan of Judge's 99.
Of course you are.
Much better number than 51.
Yeah,
Well, but
also
99 wasn't
is-
exactly a baseball number.
Well, now it is.
Exactly.
I got 3 Hall of Famers at 51.
Randy Johnson.
If anyone can name him.
Wait, for football or?
Yeah, there's no way you would do this. I'm not a big number guy, so I wouldn't know him. Butkus, you're right. I mean, Dick Butkus, Sam Mills, a huge
Yeah.
fan, and Jim Ringo. So Butkus, that's pretty good, but he's more of an off-ball linebacker, and I think Abdul Carter wants to play near the line. Anyway, that's
Yeah, that would be the difference.
The Giants put out a video of Abdul Carter's combine interview. Did
I
you have
saw
it yet?
it. I did.
He looks like he's ready to go. I was like, I'm drafting that dude, and I'm giving him number 51.
All yours, buddy. Pete, thank you for that. 2 big stories, including, Jordan Hudson, reportedly, by Pablo Torres reporting that she's been banned from North Carolina facilities.
Day by day.
Get into that. 888-710-4ISN. And
I got a nickname, by the way, already. Area 51. Isn't that a thing? It sounds like a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where the aliens are supposed to be, allegedly.
Or is that area?
No, that's it. Manny's right.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Or is that
I
area
thought you
47?
meant there was another sports person named that. I thought maybe there is.
Ichiro.
It's funny because I'm thinking about Area 51 now because Perloff brought this story up yesterday and then sent me the article that I read about the underground, like post-apocalyptic
City for rich
city
people.
for
Yeah.
rich and famous people that apparently is being built under Washington, D.C. or even under the ocean.
Yeah.
I know why I remembered, by the way, the Area 51 nickname.
It's a basketball thing, no?
Yes. And it's very related to this show. Wen Bushama. So
What about him?
They were calling him Area 51, and then he wasn't crazy about it. But this year they drafted Stephon Castle. When Yama wears number 1, Castle wears number 5. Both rookie of the years. They've been a duo now called Area 51.
Knew it was familiar. Thank you, EJ. Dynamite work there. And, okay, more on the underground societies that are being formed right now. I was surprised by the number of these, not full societies, but the underground secret bunkers that exist that's being built by our military, according to one whistleblower. I was surprised by the sheer number. Not going to lie.
All those words are pretty strong. Whistleblower, report. This was a random New York Post article from some possibly deranged.
Someone who used to work in the Bush administration.
Yeah, okay. It's just theory. I don't. None of this is real, Maggie.
We're all just specks on this floating rock in the universe.
Hurtling towards who knows what. And Bill Belichick. We'll get to all that. 888-710-4ISN.
Day by day.
You're in a 5-minute break. 4 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to the show. We've been tracking Bill Belichick and his girlfriend Jordan Hudson, and she's more than that, obviously, because she was asked to be put on all correspondence coming from North Carolina football. She's signing emails that said she's the COO of Belichick Productions. Clearly stepped in on the CBS Sunday Morning interview, Pearl, where she said we're not answering questions about how they met. She's become part of the story here and part of Belichick's life in a big way. But Pablo Torre now reporting that she may have to take a step back. So here's Pablo saying that the North Carolina higher-ups have now gotten involved and want less Jordan Hudson.
2 sources at the University of North Carolina tell me that there has been a decision, it was made last week, by the higher-ups inside the athletic department that had hired Bill Belichick to be the highest-paid public employee, not just coach, in the state of North Carolina at $10 million a year. And that decision was that Jordan Hudson is no longer allowed in the football building.
Okay.
She is not allowed on the football field.
Mm-hmm.
Quote, don't think you'll be hearing much from Jordan moving forward.
Wow. First of all, it's just still stunning to hear because I'm not used to anyone telling Bill Belichick how he's going to do anything. As odd, Perloff, as it was to see Jordan on the field to begin with, I just don't think you tell Bill Belichick, hey, knock it off.
Yeah, I mean, but then again, we haven't had a situation like this with Bill Belichick. So this whole girlfriend thing is unprecedented.
Totally. It's not just North Carolina, apparently. According to Pablo, it's also Belichick's family.
Because the second update is that Bill Belichick's family is extraordinarily concerned about what has transpired. One Belichick family source told me, quote, there is deep worry for how detrimental Jordan can be for not just North Carolina, but Bill's legacy, reputation, everything he has built and worked for over decades. End quote. In fact, the family has been digging into Jordan Hudson as well.
What does that mean? Digging in?
Well, she dated that other famous guy before.
Do you mean famous or do you mean older?
Well, Rich. What was he? He was
definitely old. I don't remember if he was.
I don't think he was famous.
No, not famous, but he was notable. I don't think he was a nobody. I think he was a big deal.
I just remember the age gap was also pretty significant. So she's got a type.
Well, yeah.
Grandfathers.
No, I mean, we knew about the family because Stephen Belichick's wife came out against him. And also we have common sense. Of course the family doesn't like this. Why would, what family likes their 72-year-old grandfather dating a 24-year-old? That's not a thing that happens.
Well, and also there were questions about how did she amass this big real estate portfolio seemingly overnight. Again, like we're getting half reporting on some of that stuff. No one's saying Bill Belichick dumped $8 million into her bank account so that she could buy properties in Boston, but connect a couple dots and maybe we were a little too quick for that. But this is amazing to me in some way. As amazing as Jordan Hudson and Bill Belichick's like sort of, I don't know,
romance,
rise, like this whole relationship was crazy. The idea that anyone could step in and tell Bill, you're not doing this anymore, or she needs to take a step back is also pretty crazy. But listen, North Carolina is paying him. They should be able to say something. Now, Katie Nolan, who is also on this podcast with Pablo Torre, you kind of heard her chime in for a second. She was theorizing that maybe Bill's blaming it on North Carolina higher-ups, saying, oh, well, they are telling me you have to take a step back to try to pass the buck.
By the way, does anyone find... Yeah, exactly. That's a good theory. I like that. But does anyone find the way this story has broken a little funny? It sounded like a throwaway part of a Pablo Torre podcast. Like, why wasn't there... Nobody figured out that she was banned? That's interesting to me. Like, this is how this...
He's reporting it.
Well, but he's not reporting. It sounds like he's doing it in the middle of his podcast. Like, I don't know. I just think that would be a story. Like, a lot of people cover that, too.
I mean, I think the nature of his podcast is that he investigates things.
Yeah.
He comes with information.
Right, but this story, it's funny. I'll bet you a lot of writers were like, oh, darn, I should have gotten that. Jordan Hudson was banned a week ago, and we didn't find out.
Yeah,
I mean, we kind of talked about it before, but spring practice kind of came and went, right? So, like, right now they're not doing anything.
They're not there.
So, like,
post-spring portal.
Yeah, so the people who cover North Carolina football just might not really be around the team because there's nothing going on.
Pablo said 2 sources with North Carolina. Like, why would Pablo Torre have sources with North Carolina compared to all the people in the college football world?
Listen, this happens all the time. You wonder, how does Adam Schefter and Ian Rappaport, how do they scoop the national guys? How do they scoop the local beat reporters? Sometimes you got relationships.
No, and also, too, I'm curious, like, Pablo... like you said, it was a buried tweet. Like I almost all would have thought, oh, he might have broken that out even separately and tweeted, hey, we have big news coming up about Jordan Hudson. But you're right, Pablo Troy finds out are usually like deep dives into things. This is a breaking news story.
No doubt. I mean, I see it's from an hour ago. Like, it's breaking right now. This is it, and now we're going to be talking about it.
Yeah, like Pablo do a deep dive on where Aaron Rodgers got the word immunized from or something. Not like something that's like, this is a big college football story.
It's huge, which is why we're talking about it. Jordan Hudson reportedly banned from the building in North Carolina. What?
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. 30 seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
Welcome back. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. Warriors lose last night despite the fact that Anthony Edwards turned his ankle, Pearl, in the first half. Maybe could have cracked the door open, but with no Steph Curry for the Dubs, it's going to make it hard, and Jimmy Butler was not going to be stepping into the Batman role last night.
No, I mean, you'd expect them to lose game 2 on the road in this series. I'm very curious how they respond. This is going to come down to Steve Kerr. This is probably the biggest challenge he's had. I don't think we're going to see Curry anytime soon to cobble together a lineup. I mean, Jimmy Butler's only been there half a season. It's not like he knows the team that well.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very curious because I don't think the T-Wolves are easy to predict. They could implode. I mean, they hit their threes last night. They could get cold again. We've seen it. I don't think the series is over. I think most people think it's done without Curry. But I think you have a lot of faith in Anthony Edwards' ankle. I mean, all those three-point shooters, they could go very cold. And Rudy Gobert is not great. You even saw it last night. I don't understand how that guy won Defensive Player of the Year every year.
4 different times. He got hit in the eye last night, and it felt like it really took him a long time to recover. He must have really gotten, banged. And here's the thing. I just didn't like what I saw from the Warriors last night because it's an all-hands-on-deck situation when Steph Curry's going to be out for a week with a hamstring issue. And who is that mostly towards? Jimmy Butler and Draymond. And Draymond's never going to be the scoring threat. That's just not his game. But I was really expecting, Jimmy Butler to say, all right, once Anthony Edwards goes down, and I know they got off to a bad start, but hey, maybe I'm the one who can put the team on my back and we can steal this game like the Knicks did in Boston, like the Pacers did in Cleveland. And all of a sudden you're up 2-0 on a team and Steph Curry has a little bit more cushion to work his way back from this hamstring issue.
Yeah, but I mean, the Knicks still had Jalen Brunson and the Pacers still had Tyrese Halliburton. I think what you're asking him, Jimmy, is way too much for where Jimmy is right now.
Yeah.
And I mean, come on. First of all, the T-Wolves are good. I mean, they had no right to lose game 1 to this Warriors team, let alone they should really beat this Warriors team. Who on the Warriors is going to block Anthony Edwards' shot? They don't have anybody inside.
I know, but you just said you don't think the series is over because the T-Wolves are inconsistent.
I think the T-Wolves are much more talented, but I think they're wildly inconsistent. I think talent-wise, they should destroy Golden State. Look at Golden State's front court. I don't understand how they even hang in these series. I guess it's because of Steph Curry. But I generally think that Steve Kerr is a really good coach. He was looking for answers last night. I think he found a couple. Watch game 3. I tell you this, at least game 3 will be close. It'll be closer than this. I do not think the T-Wolves are going to run away with it like they did in game 2.
Let's hear from Steve Kerr. Warriors going back home on Saturday for game 3. Kerr said he needed to play more players. We basically played the entire team last night and adjust his strategy.
The domino effect of Steph being out led to Trace playing tonight because we need the scoring, we need the finishing, and you saw what he did out there. Same thing with J.K. We had found a formula over the last couple of months, and obviously we're having a lot of success. But without Steph, the formula completely goes out the window, and we've got to figure out the next formula.
Yeah, JK is Jonathan Kuminga, who had a fantastic game last night, even in a loss. So you'd expect that he's going to get more burn. Obviously, Trace Jackson-Davis is going to get more burn. Steve Kerr, let's hear Cup 5 man. He said he learned a lot from game 2.
We made a really spirited run, got it to 7, and then we just kind of lost a little bit of composure. We turned it over right out of that timeout a couple of times and gave up a couple of threes where we lost connection defensively. But we learned a lot, and I think this game will help us figure out, how to move forward.
Yeah, 6 turnovers in the third quarter alone, and most of them
brutal.
were the second half of the third quarter because the Warriors came out of halftime, made a run, cut it to 7, as Kerr just said, and then it just fell apart. And Jimmy Butler went to the bench because they wanted to give him a little bit of a rest.
Definitely.
To have him play maybe all of the fourth quarter, but then the T-Wolves pushed the lead back up to double digits, and basically they waved the white flag with about, 8 minutes to go in the fourth quarter.
I thought they were going to even waive it earlier. If they didn't make that little run in the third quarter, then they were clearly thinking about rest. Again, Jimmy's 35. You count him out at your own peril.
Who, Jimmy?
Jimmy.
I can be disappointed by what I saw last night, though, because here's the thing. It's kind of like a gift. It's a little bit like, what we saw in the Knicks Celtics series, right? When your team is shooting 15 of 60 threes like they were in game 1, you got to take advantage of that, and they were.
They did, yeah.
Right. And then when you get like a gift of Anthony Edwards is compromised on the ankle. First of all, was not hitting shots in game 1, got called out for his effort by his head coach. And then in game 2, twist the ankle so early enough in the game that it actually did have an impact. And I think it has impacted him. He's uncharacteristically missing shots, not just threes, inside. Like there's no lift or whatever.
Yeah.
And so, to not see that and think, I could maybe go for the jugular a little here, I was surprised.
Well, I mean, listen, Edwards ended up playing 34 minutes, scoring 20 points, 6 for 30. He had a better game than he did in game 1, actually, ironically, because he didn't settle for the threes. At this game, the Warriors came out, much like Denver Nuggets did in game 2. There's a certain amount of energy you have in a playoff series. I mean, will you acknowledge that sometimes even really good teams mail in a playoff game? It happens. It's a 7-game series. One game on the road is not all that meaningful. It's practically better to get blown out so you can rest your guys.
Yeah, well, we know we're going to have at least a game 5. So we'll see what happens when the series goes back to Golden State and see if Steve Kerr has figured out some rotations. Meanwhile, Draymond Green, another technical foul last night. Stop me if you've heard that. And if you took a drink for every Draymond Green foul a flagrant foul.
I am inebriated.
We'd all be in a coma.
Draymond wanted to join Steph on the bench so bad, or just to get out of town. It didn't look like he was begging the official to throw him out. I couldn't believe he hit him in the face like he does all the time. They went
hit
to
Nas Reed in the face, not the official.
Right. They went to the review. It came back. He should have gotten another technical. I don't know why. They kept him in the game. I think they're like, well, we need someone's heard of, so they're not going to turn the game off. But I think he really wanted to sit that one out. I really do.
Well, then that's not exactly heart of a champion. Come on.
He's not young either, Maggie.
I know.
You got to pick and choose your spots.
I'll criticize Draymond Green for a lot of different things. I never think his effort is off, though. I never think he doesn't care. I think that he wants to sit or anything like that. I think that he just, after all these years, right, really can't even dial it down 10% when Steph Curry's out of the game. I mean, there's one thing if Steph is in the game because Draymond's done some dumb things and Steph has bailed him out. But when Steph's not there,
that's when you dial up 10%, not down. Yeah. Bring on the crazy Draymond. They need something. There's no Steph. Should be hitting guys left and right.
And it's always everybody else.
Yeah. Well, also too, I can't wait. There's a Rudy Gobert dust up coming. It's coming.
Well, he's 2 flagrant fouls away, 2 technical fouls away from being suspended for a game.
Definitely going to happen if the Warriors stay alive in this playoff.
I mean, it's just there's too many games. Like they won game 1, which means we're guaranteed a game 5. So there's just too much basketball left to be played without Draymond getting a tech because he always will. And he does have a bullseye on his back from officials because he's earned it over 13 years in the league.
I mean, to be fair, this team can win without Draymond. We saw that of 2 years ago. There was the stretches without Draymond. So he's definitely going to get suspended if they stay alive. There is no doubt in my mind. I just think that's Draymond. It's who he is. If he toned it down, then he wouldn't be Draymond. Is it ideal for him to cause all these stupid technicals and fight all the time? No, but I think that's, he's been there a long time, Maggie.
Yeah.
They love him. Steve Kerr loves him. The Warriors love him. Oh. He was able to punch Jordan Poole in the face, and they said, goodbye, Jordan Poole.
No,
They've put up with this stuff forever for a reason.
He punched Jordan Poole in the face, and they were like, how dare anyone leak that video?
Yes.
That was their response. It wasn't, man, he shouldn't have done that.
There's a reason
who leaked the video. We are going to get to the bottom of that. We're going to fire that guy.
Yeah, there's a reason they back him they will always back him and say, no, he's the heart and soul of this thing.
No, I think the reason why they back it, first of all, I think Steph has probably gone to bat for him many times because I think he's a little like, Steph Curry, amazing. But to be fair, like, nobody really takes shots at Steph.
Yeah,
it's like who's trying to put Steph on his ass?
I'm the petty king.
And I think because, Draymond's kind of there as the enforcer a little bit.
Like hockey, right? Like the guy who protected Gretzky.
But here's the thing about Draymond. It goes both ways because, he gets in guys' heads and he's able to impact his opponent. They get in his. Like, it'd be one thing if he was awesome at this and this Mr. Mind Games, but he gets negatively impacted by it. So you're not as cool as you think you are with this stuff because if you were just doling it out one way and everyone had to deal with you and you're the big instigator, but he allows people to get back inside his head.
Those 4 rings are pretty cool.
4 rings are great. Could have been 5.
Having Steph Curry will really get you really far in this world.
Could have had 5.
I think there's more to it. I understand what you're saying. I'm a huge Steph Curry fan. I think Steve Kerr and Maggie laid it out. Like, they need that. Every great team has an instigator throughout NBA history. Not every great team, but almost every great team. Name a great team, and they had what we might call a crazy guy. You go back to the Bad Boy Pistons, Vernon Maxwell on the Rockets. The Lakers had, I guess, Rambis, maybe. Actually, maybe the Lakers didn't have one. The Celtics probably had a goon or two. I can't.
Robert Parrish was pretty tough.
Danny Ainge
was crazy.
Yeah. Danny Ainge was a little bit of that guy, too. He was an irritant.
Definitely.
Is this, like, the Celtics got rid of Marcus Smart and then won?
Well...
Is that a modern thing? Who's the Nuggets like crazy person?
Well, we were. Let's see. Was Bruce Brown was their defensive guy,
but he's not crazy.
No, but generally you're right. But we were worried when they got rid of Marcus Smart. We thought he was their winning player. I was worried, and they did win a lot with Marcus. They got to the finals with Marcus Smart.
Yeah, but they won the title without him.
And is that a modern thing? So Draymond won in 22. Yeah, I mean now the NBA it's hard to get any trends. New champion every year. Yeah, maybe not, but
the Bucs did have PJ Tucker.
Mm-hmm. Listen, the Heat had Udonis Haslem. I understand.
LeBron had J.R. Smith, and
he's not really a tough guy.
He's not a tough guy. He's a
instigator,
party guy.
he's blitzed.
Yeah,
but I think you need a character. It doesn't have to be a bad guy. I'm saying you need. I mean, honestly, I think the little bit of crazy that J.R. Smith brought to the Cavs was a good thing in a weird way. I don't know. I just think this is how you build a team.
888-710-4ISN. You're welcome to weigh in on the Warriors and Draymond. We also should get to the other big story that's kind of breaking this morning. Bill Belichick's girlfriend has been banned from the building, allegedly, at North Carolina, the football facility, according to Pablo Torre. The North Carolina higher-ups have had enough. Bill Belichick's family is very concerned that the relationship is damaging his legacy. All according to Pablo Torre on his podcast. Pablo Torre finds out. Pearl, are you surprised that it's come to this?
Yeah, I didn't see it. I definitely didn't see this coming because she was running out on the field and fixing his mic pack. Like I thought Bill had the power here, and I honestly, you floated a theory that maybe he broke up with her. Felt like she kind of has him wrapped around her finger. So, yeah, I'm a little surprised. I thought she was running the show.
I thought maybe this news means it's leading towards a breakup because I don't listen. Bill's acted in terms of his public persona very uncharacteristically since Jordan Hudson came into the picture and has taken obviously a big role here with his life and with the football. But don't you think Bill Belichick, 50 years coaching football, would ultimately choose football over a relationship?
No.
I think he's done that his whole life.
No. He's chosen other relationships over relationships, is a rumor on Bill Belichick. I don't think this, oh God, I'm going to be so shallow, but yeah, this is a good catch for Bill Belichick. I don't think he's letting this out the door.
Good catch. I mean, the guy's like a legendary football coach who just got totally spurned by the NFL. This is an ultimate revenge move to go to North Carolina where they're calling themselves the 33rd team, right? He's 33rd, like NFL team. He's trying to prove a point that all those NFL owners who passed on him or whoever passed on him is dead wrong, that he's the one. And now he's going to maybe be throwing it away for a 24-year-old girlfriend that does not square with anything he's shown us publicly for the last 50 years.
1 month ago when she ran onto the field of practice, did that square with anything you know about Bill Belichick? Has any of this squared with what you know about Bill Belichick?
No, especially not her interjecting in an interview where Bill famously has handled tougher questions than where'd you guys meet and has stonewalled the media for 40 years. So,
he did have his PR guy, Stacey James, do that exact same thing about 100 times. But Stacey?
But here's the thing. It's CBS Sunday Morning.
Yeah.
It's a puff piece.
Well, anyway, it does surprise me. I disagree. I do not think Bill is dumping her over this. I think he would choose Jordan.
Poll question. Would Bill Belichick, who would he choose? Water gun to your stomach.
I think you're underestimating a little bit what motivates men. He's 73 and he's dating Miss Maine.
But that's why I feel like this is such like he's such a munch. Like, I mean, he's Bill Belichick.
What does that mean?
I mean, it's like he's a mark. Like
I've seen this happen to so many older famous people though. It's hard. You feel like you're getting old. I just think it's hard to turn that away.
But my point though is that I just feel like he's old and rich and famous. Like he could find another Jordan Hudson if he really wanted to. It doesn't have to be 20. It could be 34. Like it just like that's why I think this is like crazy to me. Like if he really is saying I'm gonna lay it all on the line. I'm gonna just stand on business on this. Like
I don't know. You think Bill Belichick has a wide dating pool?
Like he doesn't have to.
Yeah, he's famous.
Yeah,
and rich guy.
He literally doesn't have to.
I don't know if it's as easy. Yes, he's a famous and rich guy, but his friends are like Mike Lombardi. He's in the tape room all the time. I don't know that he has access to this big dating pool unless there's some online like older coaches saying. I think that he's holding on to Jordan Hudson.
I mean,
some kind of social club.
Yeah,
there are women who
dedicate for old coaches.
I mean, there are women who dedicate their adult lives to sugar daddies. Like that's just a thing. Like it's not. It's
but
not
these sugar daddies,
it can be risky though.
It can absolutely, and I wouldn't do it if I was him.
But
right.
Where do you meet them?
I wouldn't know. I'm a 34-year-old man.
Retirement home. You just said there are these women, so you know something about it.
No, but I've seen like reality shows. I've seen stories on it.
Yeah, where did they meet?
MTV probably did a True Life on this.
Early bird special.
I think they stalked these guys kind of. From what I've seen.
Listen, Bill Belichick met Jordan Hudson on an airplane.
Supposedly.
Allegedly.
All right, guys. I think that there's, listen.
Right, he lucked into this one.
No, think about all the things so Bill Belichick right now on a book tour. Just was at NYU University. Thank you, Zach Gelb, our colleague here at Infinity Sports Network, who had that because I think his cousin or something was at the Belichick talk. He's giving talks all over the country. He's trying to sell a book. He's more exposed and out there than the average person. So where does he meet people? Where people meet. People meet at work. People meet out and about.
Well, right. But generally, Belichick has never done most of this stuff. Belichick, I don't think, spent a lot of time in bars, but
this is so funny though. This is the aspect of this that we're taking on. It's like
that's why I don't think I think he feels like I'm really lucky that I found Jordan Hudson. I don't think it's as easy for him to line up women.
Well, okay, so
even Hollywood though, we see guys with massive age gaps in. Like, I don't think this thing is that hard for famous or rich people.
I don't either. You and I, Perloff, you see this differently. I don't think it's hard for Belichick to happen upon meeting women. Maybe not Miss Maine. Maybe not 24, but to have companionship with a beautiful woman, I don't think it's really that difficult for him. What I'm most interested with this story is with Pablo Torre breaking the story that North Carolina higher-ups are saying that Jordan Hudson's going to be banned from the football facility, and also that Bill's family is concerned about Jordan Hudson. So my thing is, Bill is actually listening to people now. That's what's surprising to me. First Jordan, now other people like Bubba Cunningham from North Carolina or, his family.
Maybe he wasn't given a choice. I mean, he is new to North Carolina. Maybe he doesn't have quite as much power. EJ had a really good point that maybe there were some HR issues with having Jordan Hudson in an official role at a state university because they didn't post the job, I imagine.
Yeah, I mean, she's got to be vetted. Like, think of all the stuff we had to go through. When we don't work for a public company now, our company is private. We have to do all of that HR training, sexual harassment stuff. What is payola? Like, we have whatever your industry has. We have all these videos that we have to watch.
Right. But if she has an official role, like they have to post that job so anyone can apply for it, right? And I don't think anyone was allowed to apply for that.
What about COO of Belichick
Then again, it
Productions?
is
You gotta
college
apply.
football. There's a lot of strange stuff that goes on with this. Is the sport that had Connor Stallions in it. So I don't think the rules are always that strict. We'll see here. I also wonder what the reaction is because Pablo Torre broke this in his podcast, which came out this morning, right? I wonder if North Carolina makes a statement.
We've had dueling statements. Remember when it was Jordan versus CBS News?
Yeah.
There's been a lot of statements going around lately.
Yeah, I mean, there's now all of a sudden, okay, so this story comes out. All the college football writers are going to call North Carolina and say their sources at North Carolina say, hey, is this true? What happened? When did it happen? Pablo said last week.
It's a big deal for Belichick because we were all wondering how this college, era was going to go for him.
By the way,
we got the Cliff Notes. Not great.
I don't think anybody's, coach's girlfriend should be on the practice field necessarily. It's not like they should be focusing like the coaches and the players should be on the practice field. Like, I don't know why outside people would really be on the practice field anyway. That doesn't seem like a winning strategy.
She's everywhere, it seems.
Yeah. So the other thing too is like, this is obviously setting up. I'm telling you right now, best case scenario I've always thought is 9-3 for Bill Belichick. Like, this is North Carolina. They've never been a national title contender. They never will be a national title contender in football. So what are we doing here? Like, what impact is this really going to have on the sport as a whole? He was not contending this year. So I just think this season is going to be very disappointing, I think, for some people who thought they had Bill Belichick, the greatest coach ever. None of that's going to happen. It's going to be 7-5.
888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476. That's the latest. Bill Belichick's girlfriend, Jordan Hudson, allegedly banned from the football facility at North Carolina. Okay, lots more to do here this morning, including, I said it before, we never got to it. $315 million maybe doesn't buy you what you thought. Like flexibility. Get to that story next, M&P.
You're in a 5-minute break.
All right, ready? Oh, shoot, I have a read. Okay. Where is that read? Damn. Man, can you check that? I'm trying to find the read. I'm just going to do the one. Okay. 3, 2, 1. This is Andrew Perloff with a Sports Minute. This is Andrew Perloff with an Odyssey Sports Minute. Abdul Carter finally has a number. The Giants rookie pass rusher. Abdul Carter finally has a number. The Giants rookie pass rusher settled on 51 after he couldn't get Lawrence Taylor's 56 or Phil Simms' 11. The NFL changed the rules on numbers a few years ago, making it less strict, so non-quarterbacks could wear number 7 if they wanted. So now rookies are very particular, but the reality is that Carter's play is all that matters. If this works out, then someday a young star is going to go public asking for 51 to be like Abdul Carter. Then Carter will be in.
So here's to Turtles Tacos and the crew on the grind, except for Bellotti, who's always lagging behind.
Welcome back, Maggie and Perloff Show. We are dissecting the big story of the morning. Pablo Torre from, where's the Pablo work out?
Meadowlark Media.
Meadowlark Media reported on his podcast, Pablo Finds Out, that Jordan Hudson, Bill Belichick's girlfriend, is banned from the football facility. Of course, we've been following this story really closely for a couple of weeks. I wonder what the straw that broke the camel's back was. It's got to be the fallout from the CBS Sunday morning show.
Yeah, I think the dueling statements and her putting out emails, private correspondence on social media probably didn't help. Especially stuff that, there are certain things that came out because of Freedom of Information Act requests, but she was putting out emails like as a way to vindicate them from this disastrous interview. Yeah, I can't imagine North Carolina was like, that might be a slippery slope.
And the emails weren't even that good, or they didn't really vindicate her at all. They made her seem like she was even more of a, I'm not sure what the word to describe her, troublesome, controversial. Like, she does not run away and try and make things smooth. She's defiant.
Yeah, and I also think that, we've been talking about this all morning, and EJ brought this up, to be fair to you, EJ, weeks ago. Like, how is she acting in an official capacity when she's not actually been hired by the university? I mean, that could be a very cut and dry, hey, X, Y, and Z for you to have access to this building, and you haven't, done it. I always just thought behind the scenes they could get that done like lickety-split if they wanted to. If Bill really wanted to make her something official, that could happen in an afternoon.
No way. At a public university? How?
Well, I mean, I'm just saying, do you think that, they didn't open up the GM role to everybody? Michael Lombardi, who's Bill's right-hand guy, got that job. His son got the defensive coordinator job. He brought his guys with him.
But those are football jobs. I wonder if it's as easy for administrators. I don't know. My wife works for New York City, and hiring somebody is like, it's easier to find name the Pope than to actually hire somebody at a public place.
Yes.
So you're right. He brought in all his football guys. I don't know if it was so easy because they would ask, well, what are your qualifications to do this? To Jordan Hudson. Mike Lombardi.
I'm not answering.
Mike Lombardi was an NFL GM. He clearly had qualifications.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, does she have any PR background? She went to cosmetology school, I know.
I mean, you could always say, we see something in her. Potential. It's like drafting somebody. You don't go on what they are. It's what they're going to be.
True.
I like what somebody brought up last hour. Will he take that out in a month and just like, why are we even doing it? Are we getting to the point where we don't even need to see the season? Like it's become such a laughing stock.
Oh, that he would leave?
Yeah.
No.
Because wasn't there an out just in case he got the NFL job?
Yeah, so the buyout goes from $10 million to $1 million. And I believe it's soon, like June 1st maybe or something like that.
I mean, we've already, it's not going well. Aren't the expectations lowering and lowering and lowering?
Well, okay, and this is where Bill's family steps in, and they, according to Pablo Torre, are also worried because you're saying expectations are lowering, and they're saying his reputation is getting damaged more and more by Jordan Hudson. I put out a poll on my social at Maggie Gray, but we can put it out on the show social too, which is, if forced to choose, would Belichick choose football or Jordan Hudson?
Okay, that's a good one. I would pick Jordan Hudson.
Yeah, I'm picking football here. I don't think you throw away 50 years.
But he could leave North Carolina and get another football job too. It's not
sure
like,
about that? He couldn't get a job in the NFL.
Well, I think he could go Ivy or something. He's always been a fan of subdivision football, so he could do that. Yeah, we'll see. I have a question about legacies and coaches, Maggie.
Yeah.
Bill Belichick, is his legacy in trouble? The great coaches, usually we kind of ignore the end. Don Shula, but I was thinking if Don Shula had left maybe 10 years younger, he would be on the Mount Rushmore of coaches. If Tom Landry had left.
Is he not? He
I
has
don't
the
think
most
so.
wins. Is he not on
Mount
the Mount
Rushmore? Top four. I'd say the Mount Rushmore is clearly Lombardi, Belichick, Walsh, Paul Brown. I think, and then you get the next level. I think Landry, who also got hurt by the end. I think you get hurt by the end. I think you can lose your thing. Gibbs got hurt by going back a second time to Washington. I think you could definitely.
You win 3 Super Bowls, three different quarterbacks. Do you really get hurt?
Yeah,
because of a failed stint?
I think walking away has a lot of it. Bill Walsh walked away, and he's a god. Gibbs' reputation definitely got hurt by that second stint in Washington.
I feel like people just blame anything that happened under Dan Snyder. It's like
I got a big argument with a friend. I think Shula hung around too long. I really do, because people don't remember how great a coach Don Shula was. Do you think he's on the Mount Rushmore? If he had left in 83 or 85, I mean, not that he was going to, he had 17 years of non-contending.
No, I understand, but you're putting two architects of football up there if you put Lombardi and Paul Brown, right? So those are two guys who really shaped the sport in its very, very formative years.
Right. My point is, I think if he had, forget Jordan Hudson, I think if he had 5 losing seasons in the NFL, if he had stayed at the Patriots and it kept on going south, I think people would have said, oh, it's Brady and Belichick's legacy. I think his legacy is still up for play. I don't think he's proven anything.
Wow. Hasn't proven anything. 8 Super Bowls, 6 Super Bowls as a head coach, and 2 as an assistant. He hasn't proven anything?
I just
don't
think
know,
he can hurt him. I think he can hurt himself. I think the more this goes on, people are going to think it was Tom Brady in New England. I mean, that's the reality.
Actually, a lot of people in the chat weighing in on this. Now you've brought in the Mount Rushmore of coaches. David saying Shula, Lombardi, Walsh, Parcells, Landry, Brown, Knoll, Belichick as a second Rushmore. But I also this was a question from Drunkle Sam, and I want to make sure we get to this because it's a very important question. If Jordan Hudson was in a luxury box, would she get as much camera time as Taylor Swift? I think she's got a headset. I think she's on the ground behind Bill. I don't know if she's calling plays necessarily, but I think she's got a headset.
Well, college has a different rhythm. A college broadcast has a different rhythm than an NFL one.
I don't know. They found Jen Sturger a couple different times. She wasn't in a luxury box. She was in the front row.
Yeah, I know.
They suck. They found Catherine Webb plenty during AJ McCarron.
Jessica Simpson when she was dating Tony Romo.
But were they in boxes? Yeah, they were in
college. You're just out there with the crowd.
That's what I was wondering. It just feels like a different. The thing that was going on with Taylor Swift was very curated in this box with a bunch of celebrities and Ryan Reynolds. Or no, Blake Lively. That was I feel like, of course, at a college game, that's the other question. If you have Jordan Hudson in one hand and Jen Sturger's 3 rows over, then again, Jordan Hudson.
What does the cameraman do?
Jordan Hudson kind of looks like.
Yeah, she kind of maybe does.
We've seen her outfits on the red carpet. Yeah. Not that Jen was dressed like that, but
no, Jen's great.
Yeah. Anyway, I do think. I I also will wake up, 1/3 of the people are going to be watching. Taylor Swift was in front of 40 million people.
That's true. How many people are going to tune in for UNC TCU, you're saying, in the opener?
Yeah, I mean, I think it'd be big for college football, but I think part of the reason people were tuning in was to see Taylor Swift.
Fair. 888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476. You guys want to weigh in on this Mount Rushmore of coaches now that Perloff has brought that up? You can also answer the question, if Bill Belichick was forced to choose, would he pick football or his girlfriend? The fact we're even asking this question is amazing.
And I think Belichick's kicking himself out of that Mount Rushmore in real time as we sit here and watch him.
Our friend Ty Dunn tweeting out this morning, irony is a 100-mile-an-hour freight train to the face. Bill Belichick builds his GOAT reputation telling players nonstop to do your job and ignore the noise. Time to follow his own advice. Let's get to Pete McCarthy, who is with us on updates this morning. Hey, Pete.
Hey, guys. Well, I'll report on the reporters reporting, as we've all been talking about here. I watched the full episode of the podcast, Pablo Torre Finds Out, where the breaking news, we've all been talking about it. Jordan Hudson, Bill Belichick's girlfriend, banned from the UNC football facility. I know this is something we've been speculating about. He says the decision was made by the higher-ups at UNC. Quote, don't think you'll be hearing much from Jordan moving forward. That was a quote that he got.
Sounds like someone's taking pleasure in saying it that way. Don't think you're going to be hearing from Jordan much anymore. You know, if I could just expand on the delivery of how that may have gone.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like she's made a lot of friends in her travails.
Exactly.
In a couple of different areas.
They didn't even call her Miss Hudson. There was nothing formal. Don't think you're going to be hearing from
It's almost like
Jordan.
when you're watching a action movie and then, they the villain captured James Bond. And don't think we'll be hearing from 007 anymore, will we?
The sharks with laser beams on their head?
Exactly.
So, other relevant pieces here. Belichick's family is very concerned. Torrey said that the family's been digging into Jordan Hudson. There was a long time they were talking about a person she was intertwined with previously, another older gentleman. I don't know. I didn't find it all that captivating, but there was a lot of that. Maybe there's more of that that comes in. Quoted, I guess, from Belichick, but he doesn't really explain where. This is from Torrey. Jordan was my boss. Sounds like something that came out of Belichick's mouth. He trusted Hudson with the power to run his media empire. Also interesting, maybe. Jordan's been telling people that she picks out all Belichick's clothes for him.
I wouldn't brag about that.
Yeah. And Jordan has been very concerned that this whole episode is actively undermining her chances to win the Miss Maine competition.
Priorities.
Now we're getting.
Wait, how'd you know that?
That's what Pablo said.
Oh, Pablo said that. Oh,
Pablo had 10 sources that he talked to various different places about their relationship and her role in Bill Belichick's life and business career and football career and media career. And there's a lot of stories and some other things. I mean, this all really came to a head because of the CBS interview where she interrupted when the interviewer asked Bill Belichick about meeting her. And there was some speculation as to why she cut off that interview and that question, because we all kind of feel like, oh, we know they met on the plane. Like, the story's been out there. So I guess some speculation that Pablo Torre had gotten from sources. She also mistyped her birthday on some official UNC information. She made herself a year older. So the source's speculation is that she could have been concerned that she was only 19 years old when they met on the plane.
Well, she may have wanted to make herself older so she could legally rent a car.
Oh, yeah, that's a very good point, Maggie.
The other 25.
The other part of the speculation is that she's interested in a reality show and is holding back some information for a future project.
Okay, well, you can't have it both.
So let's scuttlebutt in this thing.
You can't have it both ways here. You can't be worried this is going to impact your winning Miss Maine to go to the Miss USA contest and also be plotting a reality show.
I just love your rental car theory. So she's saying she was thinking ahead.
Maybe she should pick up recruits at the airport or something.
Well,
I don't know.
she still can't. She's only 24 now. So
Right.
you're saying she
Did the
lied.
math wrong.
She lied so she could get to the rental car stage faster in the future?
I mean, being 19 when they met.
Yeah, that sort of
doesn't that give you the creeps?
That gave me the big creeps. And by the way, even if it's not true, I'm not getting it out of my head now.
Honestly, if Manny was dating a 19-year-old, we'd pull him aside and be like, dude, you're 27. Not
After 8 plus 7.
74.
Yeah.
Whatever Bill is,
boy.
73.
I'd love to date a 24-year-old. A 19-year-old,
The second I heard 19, I'm like, I'm out on this relationship.
I think we're guilty by association.
Mark Cuban on Shark Tank, and I'm out.
I don't even think that's illegal, but it feels like it should be.
18, right? Age of consent.
Yeah, 18.
I think it's different in different states.
The state of New York is 17.
And the fact that you know
They're
that
in the
right
air,
off the
so they
top
might
of their
cross in
head.
a lot of states.
Is that right? Oh, I actually didn't even know it was state rule. Okay.
I didn't know that actually.
But then there's the court of public opinion, and 19 ain't good.
No, that's double thumbs down. It's 9-0.
We've known this was going to be a 30 for 30 for a long time. It just keeps getting better and better. I wonder if people are trying to buy rights to this already.
She's got the rights. I think you got to go through her if you want the rights.
Why?
Like she's got a production company. Well, I guess you could dramatize it, but she seems like she's out to make a reality show. She wants to profit off of this, Pearl.
Yeah, but if you're going to do a documentary about Florida football, you don't have to buy the rights from Urban Meyer.
That's true. It sounds like Pablo Torre's
30
got,
for
got the
30.
scoop.
No, they're not going to let her produce the 30 for 30. It's going to be outside people are going to come in and pick this apart. Remember Bishop Sycamore? Their 30 for 30 rights became a bidding war like a week after the story broke.
Yeah, that was
Strahan won it, right?
It was actually an incredible doc.
Yeah, it was on Netflix, I believe, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think Michael Strahan outbid like The Rock or something. I got to look back. There was like 2 celebrities vying for it.
Can I also just give like some big props to Pete McCarthy, who actually went back and listened to the entire episode from last hour to now to get us all this gossip and news.
A lot of gossip.
You sick freak!
Yeah, that's me.
All right. Well, I mean,
Sick freak.
and the juiciest detail of listening to that entire episode was what, in your opinion?
Juiciest detail.
I mean, that she's banned from the facility.
She's
That's
banned.
That's the biggest thing.
That's the headline. The family's very concerned, I think, is a big part of all this that's happening. And I think that the fact that UNC apparently shut the door on her is certainly notable, and what that might mean for Belichick and the university's relationship going forward.
Yeah, it's not a great way to start out a relationship.
Oh, is that right?
Well, I'm
Good
dying
for
now
me.
to see. They have to have a public reaction. How do they word the statement?
You won't be seeing much of Jordan anymore. I mean,
Can you communicate that in written word?
I mean, Comic Sans, if you want to go the Dan Gilbert route.
Or you do like in Twitter, like when they put like the first letter as like the lowercase and other words are capital letters.
No, the claps in between.
Yeah, or the claps in
You
between.
won't be seeing Jordan Hudson anymore.
And the big winner out of all this is the Red Sox and Rafael Devers didn't get into his dismay with switching positions, doesn't want to do all that, and called out the general manager saying he doesn't understand his decisions. So, yeah.
Listen,
just pay that off because we teased it a few times.
I know when I said, what is $315 million doesn't buy you what you thought it did. But, we're going to need Alex Cora basically to start dating a 19-year-old if they want to get into this show. It's the only way you get any airtime
Bill
around here.
Belichick is loyal to his Boston roots as a Patriots former head coach. He's giving his guy a solid. Like, listen, I know
Taking the bullet.
Yeah, I know things are hot for you right now. Let's throw this Jordan Hudson band story in there.
Let's get to Rafael Devers, though. Thank you, Pete, bringing this show back on track. We are a sports show after all. Devers upset with the team asking him to move yet again. So we'll get to that. And your phone calls on Belichick and Jordan Hudson, 888-710-4ISN. Pete McCarthy, thank you so much. We're back in a minute.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining.
All right. This is Andrew Perloff with an Odyssey Sports Minute sponsored by AutoZone. Get in the zone, AutoZone. This is Andrew Perloff with a Sports Minute sponsored by AutoZone. Get in the zone.
Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Race preview is sponsored by WeatherGuard Truck and Van Equipment. They're just as driven as the hard-working pros they serve. Manny Tires, take it away.
Guys, the Cup Series is headed to Kansas. It's the Advent Health 400 from Kansas Speedway. Joey Logano looks to make it back-to-back wins after finding himself in victory lane last week at Texas. However, since 2020, Joe Gibbs Racing has won 3 of the 5 races at the track, 2 by the number 11 Denny Hamlin, who's third in the standings, behind Kyle Larson and leader William Byron. It's the Advent Health 400 from Kansas Speedway. Green flag waves Sunday, 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Central.
Fantastic job. We got a lot to get to in a very short amount of time. Quickly, I want to go to JT, who's in Atlanta. We've been talking about Bill Belichick and his girlfriend, Jordan Hudson. The latest comes from Pablo Torre that she has been allegedly banned from the football facility, and Bill's family is concerned about their relationship. JT, what do you have?
Hey, yeah, it's days like today that actually remind me of how I actually got with my ex, because I actually believe and agree with everything that Perloff has said today. Like, it's a problem, right? Because he's ruining his reputation. He's definitely knocking himself down and making you question, like, is this the genius that we thought he was, right? Like, and I think the more that we watch this situation kind of devolve, I mean, like you said, if it gets to, 19. That's a problem. I know in in Georgia, the age of consent is 16, but nobody agrees with that. Nobody is like, okay, that's legal, so go for it, right? Like, but so 19, even though it may be legal, that's a problem, I believe. And I think the more that this is unraveling, the more that he's unraveling his whole, persona. And the fact that his family is now involved in this, saying, hey, listen, we're concerned. The people that love you the most have a problem with it as well. I think it just says everything you need to know. And I think the more that he allows this to go on is an issue.
JT, solid call. I just want to bring
if he chooses.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. I was going to say, if he chooses her over football, he's just like detonating his whole career. I mean, like everything he's done before this is kind of almost just erased if he chooses her.
And that's why I don't think he's going to, right? Like, to me, this looks like it's foreshadowing a breakup, in my opinion. But JT, good call. I just want to get the audience up to speed. So one of the details Pete McCarthy gave us, he listened to the whole Pablo Torre podcast, and one of the speculation is that Jordan Hudson had missed, had on some North Carolina documents, had the wrong birthday in an attempt to make herself look a year older. The speculation is that she may have been 19 when Belichick and her met on that airplane and now wants to make herself look older. This is all speculation. This is all reports. This is all alleged. So I don't want to come across like we're giving you absolute fact here. These are the reports that are coming out from Pablo Torre's pod.
Oh, my gosh. They're definitely – the one thing about this pod, too, is it's going to open up all kinds of more reporting. Now everybody – you think Yahoo Sports, who's really good at this kind of stuff, they're going to get – very into it. And now Dan Wetzel's at ESPN. He's going to get into it.
Well,
it's going to be a free-for-all.
That's the other part, too, is, and I'm not saying that the media doesn't have agendas, but you were a jerk to everybody for 25 years. So if you think anyone's going to hold back on digging in now to you and reporting, and it's salacious,
it's salacious, gets
and it's
clicks.
newsy,
yeah.
It will definitely get clicks. But I don't think Bill has a lot of friends in the media.
Well, no, he has some. Big O, Glenn Ordway, very good friend.
Okay, well, that might help him in Boston.
Is he... Yeah, who wrote the Belichick book? Did Ian O'Connor write a Belichick book?
But it was not with Bill.
Yeah, do they have a good relationship? Did you know?
I don't know. I asked Ian to come on the show, but he was busy last week. We can have him come on next week.
I think that New England was at sort of a they had a what do you call it? They all were on the same page, like Mike Reese and all those guys, Tom Curran. I think they all understood Belichick. Like, I don't think they liked him, but I don't think they're after him really. Do you know what I mean? Like, they reached peace in the New England media.
I don't know. I think you treat people like dirt and you try to publicly embarrass them for a long time. I mean, that comes back around to you, maybe.
But Curran and Reese, those guys, they're fine with him. They're not going to come after him. I don't think it's going to be this.
It's not come after.
Yeah.
It's just they're not going to pull any punches. Like, you're not going to be able to work behind the scenes, I don't think, to make the story go away. If that even would ever have been a possibility anyway. Yeah. We did mention also Rafael Devers, speaking of Boston. Didn't want to leave third base for Alex Bregman. Now doesn't want to move to first base after injury, and he's putting it out there. We got some sound. Let's hear it.
They put me in this situation. They told me that they didn't want to allow me to play any other position, and now I think they should do their jobs essentially and hit the market and look for another player.
Yeah, that's through an interpreter, Rafael Devers. So they said they didn't want to play third. They wanted him to DH. Now they wanted to play first. He's like, well, you told me you didn't want me to play any other position. It's like, dude, help the team. It's a tough look for Devers. $315 million. You're only 3 years into the deal, Pearl. Can you really start telling the team, like, I don't want to play first base?
Apparently he thinks he can. Yeah. I don't know. You've been pitching the story to me all day. Is this really that big a deal?
I think so.
Yeah,
because
in what sense?
Once Mookie Betts got traded and they gave Rafael Devers $315 million, he became like one of the faces, if not the face of the Red Sox. To be publicly spatting with them in this way, I think is unbecoming of not just Devers. This shows, like, I think a lack of leadership on his point of view. And I think that the fact that Alex Cora can't keep this in-house, Alex Cora has this great reputation, not from the cheating scandal with the Astros, but for the Red Sox watch scandal or whatever it was, but for being a great manager. I mean, a great relationship guy. And
so do you expect a trade before the deadline?
No, because I don't think you can get fair value for Rafi Devers, and you're trying to win this year. They're only 2.5 games out of first place.
Yeah, I think they can survive this.
They need him to play first.
We'll see.
Yeah. All right. call somebody up from the minors.
My father-in-law is a Red Sox fan and worships Devers. He could do no wrong. He's going to choose Devers.
I can see that. EJ Stewart, thank you. Manny Rodriguez, Pete McCarthy, Andrew Kaplan, Weedos and Coffee Drinkers. Have a great weekend.